Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Spitballing. I'm Matt Taylor here with my good buddy
Kyle Amundsen.
And we have a returning guest, Amy Withawhy.
Hello.
In the house tonight.
We've missed you terribly.
We have.
It's been a long
we
time.
were just talking about that. It's been about 4 months since our last podcast. So life's been busy.
Matt was in jail.
I kind of was. I took a trip. I went to California and then to Texas and then back. So I was gone a little over a month, and that kind of just put a kink in the works, and then we just didn't really.
Would have been preferable.
Actually, I had fun until I got to Texas. But
Yeah. Texas is
But it was
terrible.
just saying that the last podcast we did was with Angel, and I think the podcast before that was with Amy. So Amy is back.
So too. Yeah.
You might be
Yay.
the most consecutive returning guest.
I like to be the token women on podcasts.
Well, that's
Token
actually
woman.
exactly what you are.
There was another show I did called Right to Reason, and I was like absolutely their token female, and he would invite me on all the time to time. I did one panel where it was just women in comedy, and it was an atheist show, and it was like 5 dudes and me, the token female who was pissing off all the guys about Louis C.K. Anyway.
Oh, man. Love that guy.
Yeah, I love Louis. By any chance, did you guys see the Ricky Gervais most recent comedy special that everybody was up in arms about? But I hate telling other people's jokes, but this bit he did roughly was talking about how, about their how people say there aren't any funny women in comedy. And he's like, but that's just wrong. Of course they are. I mean, they have dicks, but they're which was I like, and that was how it started. And it was like he was swinging with both fists. I enjoyed it.
It's comedy. Just fucking let it buck. I don't watch as much stand up as I should. Like, for some reason, Stavros, who I found on YouTube, who became famous on YouTube apparently. Like his shit, like he was just on Joe Rogan a while ago.
Oh, okay.
Like he's super funny, and I don't like, but like everything, if I can watch like a 5-minute clip, I'm fucking gonna do it. Like.
So I just recently discovered Instagram.
Wow. I thought I was late to the game.
I know that there is Instagram has been out for a while, but I think I have an account for Spitballing that has like 5 pictures on it, and that's it, and I've never posted anything else on it. I don't know why, but I decided I wanted to like look at Instagram, and I found the Reels on Instagram, that algorithm has fucking got me nailed, because all I see now are jujitsu videos, stand-up comedy, and like forging and building shit, and I am quite addicted to it.
Yeah.
I don't have a Instagram account, but the Reels, you have access to the Reels on, like, they throw out a lot of Reels at you on Facebook.
Right.
And I've been a little offended because all my Reels are big asses and weightlifting stuff. And I'm like, I have more interest in that. So fuck you, Instagram.
So actually, are you talking about Instagram or are you talking about Facebook?
They're interchangeable. You can put a reel on Instagram and it will,
and they show up on Facebook.
Yeah, because Facebook owns Instagram. I mean, it's all cross posting.
You also
Really?
they put Twitter videos on, or not Twitter videos.
TikTok
videos on Facebook as well.
Yep.
Well, see, that was originally the thing. So I listened to a Sam Harris podcast a while ago with a guy who was talking about the algorithms of the different, the different social media things, and apparently TikTok has a completely AI-driven algorithm, and it's supposed to be amazing. It's supposed to be able to like hone in on you. So I did the
also big asses and weightlifting.
The 45-minute TikTok thing. So you for 45 minutes you're supposed to watch TikTok, and you're supposed to like try to be as honest as you can with what you like and don't like, and really pay attention. And by the end of that, it's supposed to know you. And I got to the end, and I was like, I don't fucking like any of this shit. I haven't not seen a video that I thought was interesting or entertaining or that I would ever watch.
But have you seen my crepe video on TikTok?
No, but I just made crepes yesterday, which is really bizarre.
So when TikTok came out, I was like, I'm too old. I can't do that shit. And all my friends were watching TikTok, and they're like, you got to make TikToks. And I had no interest whatsoever. And I finally got a TikTok account. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to make a TikTok, but it's going to be really boring. And there's only going to be one. And that's why it'll be funny. So I did one of just literally me pouring batter out for crepes and made my son film it. Put a really fucking annoying song in the background and just put, this is me making crepes. That was the whole thing.
So it was
far, it's had like 3,000 views.
Yeah, so of course. It's most, yeah.
Like, really? It's had more views. But
I mean, if you did it without shoes on, people would definitely pay money to see it.
I started doing the axe throwing TikToks, which those picked up steam too. I ended up doing a second TikTok when I was at Skepticon. Whole nother story. But then I did some axe throwing ones for a while till it wasn't nice out anymore. And then I did the spinny dress one. That fucker took off immediately. So
on the axe throwing subject, like, do you have a spot at your house that you're throwing axes at?
So what happened, speaking of which, like my tattoo, I got a tattoo. Anyway, a tattoo, is that how they pronounce it?
Tattoo.
A tattoo. Yeah, so what happened?
I think that's a short Mexican guy.
Something like that. What happened was my soon-to-be ex-husband actually had built a really nice wooden target.
Wait, did you say axe throwing or X throwing?
My axe throwing at X's.
Okay,
that's a whole nother story.
I got confused.
I'm getting into that one. So no, he had built a really nice wood target, and the intent was to get our kids outside throwing axes.
Right.
So we thought if we just buy some fucking axes, what kid doesn't want to go outside and throw sharp things?
I can't imagine.
Right?
They don't have lawn darts. We had lawn darts.
So we got the throwing axes. The kids, as they do, went outside, tried it for 5 minutes, went, that was cool, and then never did it again. So this summer, when I came home, and there's a whole long story behind it, but basically when I decided to get divorced, I needed a way to both get outside of my house and let aggression out in a healthy way.
Throwing axes is a really good release of
So yeah, I ended up, I'm like, oh, hey, we have these fucking axes and we have this fucking target. And I would stand there for 3 hours just throwing them until I found that I liked it because I think with having ADHD, it's something where it forces me to focus for like just a split second.
Right.
And it's immediate gratification. So you like hear it hitting the thing and it's intuitive. So you have to kind of stand there and figure out how you want to approach it and what the best arm movements are.
Isn't it funny? We were talking a little bit beforehand about ADHD, but like how, like, it's impossible to focus on the shit that you don't want to do.
Oh yeah.
But if
it's something you want to do,
something you want to do, 3 hours straight of just going, what?
It's the most satisfying. Like at one point, my soon-to-be ex came outside and was like, "You're scaring the children. You've been out here for," and I'm like, you know what? Fuck off. No, I'm not. My younger son came out and he was helping me make TikToks. He was kind of being my videographer, and he made a few TikToks for me where it's all the axes bouncing off, the ones that missed, and then a few ones where they were all hitting, and it was really fun. I enjoyed it, and then it got fucking cold out, so now I have to go to Roundhouse, and I started throwing there, and I'm going to do it.
It's awesome. It's really fun. Yeah. It's just a little expensive to go and throw axes, but it is a blast.
It is, but I just signed my team up for the league.
Awesome.
All-female team, the Hatchet Hoes.
The Hatchet Hose, I like it.
But hoe is spelled in the fancy way because we're fancy. So
Heaux.
Thank you. Yes. So I've got 4 women, and 3 of them have literally never done this before. But it'll be fun.
All right. It'll be fun.
My mom got me some double-edged hatchets, axes. I don't even know. Tried those out the other night. Something like that. Yeah. I'm probably going to have this modified.
They probably are throwing tomahawks.
Think about hatchet.
Probably a throwing tomahawk.
Think about hatchet ratchet.
Hatchet ratchet, maybe. I'm definitely going to bedazzle the handles on all of them.
There you go.
So, but apparently you can bring your own axes.
Yeah,
bring whatever you want.
Certain requirements, though.
Which seems like cheating to me.
No.
Well, so at Roundhouse, I asked Rob, the guy who's running them, I guess. He's like, no, you can bring your own. And I had the ones that I had just gotten for Christmas, and I'm like, these too? He's like, yeah, I think so.
Oh. Well,
they're very lightweight,
according
so it feels
to regulations,
like
there are regulations for axe throwing.
Sure.
There are certain things that your axe has to have. One thing that's interesting is it absolutely has to have a wooden handle. It can't be composite, which is interesting because like my best throwing axe.
Heavy.
So I got really into throwing axes probably, had to be at least 10 years ago. Me and Peyton, did that, anybody else lose
Yep.
there?
Yep.
Oh, that sucks.
Sure did.
Well, anyway, well, I'll get up in a second. Let's finish the story. So Peyton and I got into throwing axes, just heavy. And when I had the shop, I actually set up a axe throwing like ring right in the shop. And so we ended up collecting a bunch of axes and tomahawks and knives. We got into no-spin
I want to
knife
get into
throwing.
knife throwing too.
Yeah, we did a technique called no-spin knife throwing. So you don't like go like this and let the knife spin. You hold it more like a baseball, and then you throw it, and it sails and spins, and it's interesting. It was premiered in the John Wick films, but we would have maybe a dozen throwing things, and we'd be sitting there fucking around, and then it would be getting late, and then Pates would be like, Pop, I think I'm going to go to bed. And I'm like, all right, stick them all. So the rule was you couldn't go to bed until you stuck every thing. So you had to stick all 12 items. And sometimes we'd be up late, and he would be like, oh, Jesus Christ. But But I think there's something about anything like that. I mean, I get into that with fishing or in throwing axes. Where you get to this point where you're doing it without thought, and it's almost meditative.
Oh yeah.
And
with the axe throwing, I think there's definitely there's like a warm up period. When I went to Roundhouse the first time, I hadn't done it for a couple of months because it was cold out. I couldn't go outside anymore. So just kind of getting back into actually being able to hit the target again took me a while. But then once you're there, it's just the frustrating thing was when I'm at home, I can have like 4 or 5 of them, and I can just do one after the other. You can't do that.
Right.
You got to throw one. You got to go get it.
You're
Safety
not supposed
first.
to. You're never supposed to throw an axe into a board that the axe is in.
But I'm at my house in the yard, and I'm not very safety conscious, and it's more instant gratification.
It's really
I can
bad
throw
on
4
your
at a time.
axes too. But that's why mine are all taped up and look just awful.
My 12-year-old's always like, throw 2 at a time. So I would start doing that.
Yeah, that's tough.
Do tricks. I'm like,
so the problem I always have with it is that like I am exceptionally good at it. I mean, not a brag. I just have thrown axes. I've thrown, 100,000 times. I've thrown an axe 100,000 times. So I can sit there and just stick after stick after stick. But then I'll go try to explain to somebody how to throw.
Oh yeah,
and
it's
no
like,
way. And then I'm like, and then you just are you gonna and then.
Because it's so unique to each person, I feel like.
Well, it's not even that they can throw. I just can't.
Yeah.
So Tina got a fucking cuckoo clock. God damn it, Tina.
Oh my god.
Cuckoo. So if you hear that, it's cuckoo clock. But yeah, it's a really weird thing. How it's so much more difficult to do something when you're explaining it.
Well, and that's the thing about it in general was when I first started doing it, I purposely didn't look up anything whatsoever about axe throwing. I'm like, I'm going to go outside and just try to do this.
Honestly,
and see if I like it.
I think the right way to do it.
Oh, it was.
Because you get your technique.
Yep, you get a feel for it. You get kind of how far you need to stand. There's different kind of angles and how long I pause between when I start, there's a whole... It's like meditating.
Well,
we got to fix this. This is going to be fucking nuts.
This needs to...
We'll be right back. Okay, and we're back. So the last thing I wanted to talk we're having some technical difficulties. It's been 4 months since we've done this. So we play a game when we're throwing axes. It's probably not safe, but I recommend everybody does it. But it's called Zombie. So the idea is you are holding an axe and you just walk around the target. You got to stay in front of the target. And then somebody else yells zombie, and then you got to throw around a choir and throw as fast as you can. And I'm better at that than I am at just...
Sounds fun, yeah.
Because you have to like fast calculate your spin, your wrist, and all of that stuff. And I don't know, I just find it really fun.
Well, I think when you're kind of standing there and you're about to do it, I have a tendency to overthink it,
right.
So I'll be standing there and I'm like, if I think too much, I'm not going to be able to do it. Or if somebody's watching me and I'm like, watch me do this, I will fuck it up.
Right.
So if it's just me and I'm just kind of throwing, and you do it quickly, it's it's I don't know. It's just such a great feeling, and
That's really interesting. Huh.
Yeah, but if I go, okay, let's look at the target, and
We
it's going to hit the ground.
when actually I was my group was the first customers out at Roundhouse
Oh, really?
when they opened up. Yeah, I was just waiting for them to open up, and we went out there and did it. And I've only been there the one time.
Oh wow! I've been there
Well,
twice now.
I have a
whole
fucking.
2 times.
I have like an indoor range.
Oh, you do?
Yeah, so like I don't. Well, I did. I don't now, but I
Damn
did.
it! Make a new one.
I'm actually thinking about it, but
I love it.
I have an outdoor range now. But yeah, so it's just not really that.
Well, and it's hard when you. I mean, it's a nice place, but it's so small that, especially if there's anybody else there, I feel very like I'm
But I
worried
mean,
I'm going to hit somebody.
That's
I'm
actual.
not-
Like they have a regulation.
They do. Oh yeah.
Axe range.
I started watching on YouTube. I watched the axe throwing championships and just went, "Who am I?"
I used to watch them at the bar all the time. Back when I worked at the bar, and they're so good.
I've just never been into any sports of any kind, so watching something like that on TV was just like, why am I enjoying this? What is wrong with me?
I watch a couple of YouTube channels, and they're by like World's Strongest Man competitors and stuff. And there's one in particular where like the big names like are on this one show, and in one of they went axe throwing on one episode.
Oh, okay.
It was fucking ugly.
One
That's what
thing
it
that is like really important in a lot of guys is I think most women that I have like helped throw axes are better at it than guys, at least to start off with. And it's because guys try to throw too fucking hard. You're not trying to throw the fucking axe through the target. All you need is the correct spin and the blade to hit. So
I have
guys
that
are always
problem,
just
though.
wailing it.
Mine spins too many times because I am fucking because
Throwing
again
with intent.
it was very aggressive when I started doing it. It was like I wanted to fucking cut that thing in half. I wrecked both sides of the target. I would flip it. It was all 2x6s because it was getting aggression out in a healthy way.
Well, that is healthy.
And so yeah, I throw too hard, but it's hard to get back into. For a while I had really good arm strength, and then I didn't do it for months, and then I went back and I'm like, oh my god, I can't even.
Yeah, it's
I
hard.
don't exercise.
I haven't
can't
thrown
throw.
in a while, but it's hard for me now. I have my shoulders
Yep.
pretty wrecked.
I've just thrown enough to understand, to realize that anything I like, as far as in the world of throwing things, caber toss. That should be about it for me. Like,
What is caber?
The caber toss.
What's that?
That's from the Highland Games. That's where you take
Yeah.
the big log over your you rest it over your shoulder, and you like take a couple of steps and launch it.
Oh yeah, I was watching something on YouTube about that. Not exactly that one, but it was actually this chick who was doing all this, and she was fucking amazing.
There's somebody on TikTok that one of my new teammates, she watches, that I think is in the Highland Games, and it's this woman, and she's like, yeah, I just watch TikToks of her all the time doing.
That shit's awesome.
Yeah.
The dwarf toss, that kind of thing. So this is the reason that I. Go ahead.
Can we gotta go back to Instagram versus TikTok again for a minute.
Instagram versus TikTok.
Now Christine thinks that I need a TikTok account.
You do.
It sounds like Instagram is like kind of the grown-up version of TikTok, which I don't know if that interests me. I mean, people tell me I'm like 50 years old. And
You're talking about doing for your short little videos where you rant about
Like for
drivers.
making
all
stuff.
kinds of shit, though.
Yeah.
Like,
Oh, you need TikTok.
I've got way more shit to rant about than just driving. That's just that's the one I kind of focus on.
More people are watching them on TikTok, I feel like. But once you make the TikTok, you can easily put that everywhere else. So
I mean, maybe
it's
that's
not
what you
hard
want to do. Is you want to
the more
get
places
a TikTok,
you are, the better.
Instagram.
I think. Yes.
I don't think you need Twitch because I don't think anybody's going to pay you to
I have
rant.
no
but
idea
maybe
how to use Twitch.
It's the same
No. I mean, I've already got that OnlyFans. I've got that chunk of my market I've got covered.
You must be making a fortune on there. Is that?
Yeah.
How you doing?
Is
Is it going well?
Yeah, I'm retired now.
Good.
All I do now is basically my OnlyFans content.
Nice. Sorry, I'm sorry my check didn't come through this month.
I mean,
My
I
account's
understand.
down
I don't.
pretty
I
low,
can't believe
and
people pay that much.
I'm waiting for my
to-
OnlyFans money to come in, and then I can forward it. It'll get there.
You know, I can't believe people pay that much to see different colored feathers on my butthole. Whatever.
Don't kink shame.
Or,
Kink shame.
You've never heard the term kink shame?
No, I
Okay.
probably have. I just
Oh God, I hear it all. It's
I like
probably because of the
anything
world
shame.
I live in. Lots of social justice types. No kink shaming. I hear it constantly. It's exactly what it sounds like.
social justice types. You mean cunts?
Oh, Kyle, you're fucking killing me. You are, by the way, you are fucking killing me. You're killing me.
I'm kidding about social
I know,
justice
I'm just-
types. I like the
No.
the idea. I mean, it's in
On
the name,
Facebook?
social justice. But
You're making my life a living hell in certain websites or pages or groups where I happen to be an admin and I have to sort out fights amongst people that are all my friends in real life. I'm just saying.
the thing is,
Just saying.
it's just like a lot of things in life. If you find yourself diametrically opposed to me, to Kyle on on something, you're probably an asshole. You know,
You say that about me all the time.
I like if you're on a page that something like never gets 20 likes, and you find yourself getting shitty in the group about something that's got like 30 likes, and you go back several months and nothing else has got that many likes, maybe shut your fucking mouth and move along. Because you're a fucking jerk off and you're just pissing on everybody's fun. And if somebody tells you that they have misogyny, stick up your ass is not misogyny. I can put a stick up my ass, like, you know, am I misogynist? Maybe. That kind of shit, like, that fucking kills me. Everything that I don't like is misogyny. You know, like, fucking, come on.
To be clear, though, the stick up the ass was not the misogyny part.
Well, but they said that was misogyny too.
okay. Well,
I'm not going
what
back
was
to
the
reread all that
misogyny?
shit, so I can't.
So I posted something on Facebook.
It's
in a
time
group that
for
we're in.
misogyny.
And it was a picture of
Marjorie Taylor Greene.
Marjorie Taylor Greene on a bunt cake. It said, "You've heard of Elf on a Shelf." Well, and then it didn't, you know, and
the
then
words weren't there.
the words weren't even there.
It was the thinker. You had to.
So
if
everybody
somebody got
likes it. Everybody's enjoying it.
and if somebody got offended
gets
by that,
pissed
that's
off.
obviously because their mind went to cunt.
Well, your
Well, I
mind
think
is
their mind
supposed
went to
to go
cunt
to
a long
cunt.
time ago,
Your mind is
but-
supposed to go to that. That's the point.
Yeah.
Like it's because it's a bunt cake, and she is in the.
Oh, I
bunt
get the
cake.
joke.
Yeah. So I mean,
I'm
that
just
is
saying
the
that's
joke.
totally on the person that came up with what they filled in the blank. It could have just been, you know, bitch cake, or
You know,
that might have been
Okay, sure.
not even any better. I don't
but
Anywho, the misogyny, and I have a moderate feeling on this.
Wait, what? I still don't know what the misogyny.
The misogyny is dropping the C-bomb. However,
Oh.
that was not actually, that was implied in the meme. It was not written in the meme. So my feeling is it's not right out there in your face. However, there is an argument to be made that just dropping that word in general in America, do not bring up the whole, but in England they say whatever. In our culture, just a man saying it can feel very misogynistic.
Maybe.
That said,
pre-Game of Thrones.
that said, it was in a very specific type of group where we all just have to kind of fucking get along. And it has been said before, let's all just get along and let's not take every opportunity to educate each other because we are all at different kind of, you know. So that's and the
I'm
problem
gonna
is
get fucking knocked out by this microphone. I swear to God.
because it's a local thing. I know everybody, and they're all fucking messaging me in the back. Just
did
and it's
they
like,
message you about that shit?
Oh fuck yeah! Of
Oh, my
course.
God.
Oh my God! That's why you're killing me.
Dun, dun, dun,
That's
dun,
what I'm
big
telling.
cunt.
Of course, they all message
Fuck.
me.
Yeah.
That's why you make my life a living hell.
See, I don't send any messages until you have to intervene, and I'm like, what the fuck is this?
Believe me, you sent a message first. I did not get the other message until probably the next day or.
What did I send a message about? Oh, was it
The
like
thing in
after they
general.
started like?
Yeah.
Okay, gotcha.
But I didn't get the message from them until there was not a formal enough reprimand directed at you.
Yes, because they want me to be punished. Mm-hmm. I'm the fun one. I'm the likable one.
You'll be happy to know I stuck up for you. And
did you call him a cunt?
No.
God damn it.
I did not, but
mean,
I did say something to the effect of, anybody else in the group would have just looked at that and gone, Jesus fucking Christ, Kyle, and just moved on with their day. That's the appropriate response to me, is if you see it and you're like, ugh, you just go, Jesus fucking Christ, Kyle, and you just keep going. Because that's what that group is.
Or maybe look at how many people did enjoy it and just be like,
or,
okay, everybody else seems to enjoy it. Maybe I'm the fucking problem.
Here was my argument, though. My argument was, the person who had the problem does not know you in real life. They only know you online. And when people only know you online, they don't have any idea what you do in real life to help your community and to be a good person. And so to me, that makes a difference. Like, I know Kyle as a human, and I know that he is not trying to
there's
hurt
Kyle
you in some way.
I mean, not to toot my own horn or anything, but I am the one going to the fucking meetings and the fucking protests.
Oh yeah,
and the fucking,
you're doing the work and you're
and I'm out there
and just being a good dude generally.
And meanwhile, they're fucking at home with their cats going,
I fucking hate him. He's not liberal enough for me.
Exactly. So.
I mean, that's what they sound like in my mind.
Well, I'm sure that's what they sound like.
Oh,
I know they have cats, though. I guarantee you. Probably a shitload.
I have cats. Wow.
Anyway, let's talk about cats. No, but yeah. So
the point is, it's a small community. I know a lot of people in it. I have many different friends who either just outright hate each other, just like violently opposed to each other, or.
And this is a liberal group, right?
Oh yeah.
That's exactly why.
Yeah, I mean it's because it's because there are
own.
so few liberals in town generally anyway that.
Well, those are the people that made me stop referring to myself as a liberal. Now I just say progressive or
it doesn't
leftist.
Matter. All of the above. Anybody left of center is more likely to eat their own than anybody right of center.
I have a theory about that, though.
It is so rare for anybody right of center to even the whole Liz Cheney thing, You know
why, though?
Why? What? Why people right of center?
Yes.
Won't eat their own?
Right. Do you know why? What my theory is on that?
I'm on the edge of my seat.
Because they're more authoritarian. It's easier for them to follow orders, for them to be like, nope, we're lining up behind this person. That is what we are doing. Fall in line.
Right.
Whereas liberals, I feel like, or people on the left tend to, I don't know, just be a little less like that, and therefore more willing to be like, oh, look at this guy fucking up, and we're going to talk about that, even though,
Right.
I think that has a lot to do with it.
No, I think that is it.
But it does get out of hand.
It just makes it very difficult to ever do anything.
Absolutely. Yeah.
I mean.
Yeah. Because you can't.
By the way, Happy New Year
if you don't get elected.
It's 2023.
So. Oh my God.
And that means next year is 2024.
Think we're getting Trump back?
Well, Jesus Christ, if we're not then the Democrats have got to do something, right?
Give them a chance to fail, and they'll fail.
And there isn't even a candidate in the works that.
Not really.
That I've heard of.
Mm-mm. Who would want to? I feel like...
Well, that is an important question, right?
Especially around here, I feel like, the friends that I've had who've run for office, any office in the area, I look at them and I am in awe, because I think there is no fucking way I would subject myself to what some of those people have gone through.
To the hatred of these cousin fuckers.
Just the vile... I can't
the worst
imagine.
From the worst.
Just awful, awful people.
It's like...
Yeah.
It's like a smelly smell. It's like the smelliest animal, the smelliest, most disgusting animal you can think of shitting on you.
For a job that sucks and doesn't pay that well.
So we were talking about podcasts earlier.
And thankless as fuck.
And one of my favorite podcasters ever is Dan Carlin. He has a great series called Hardcore History, but he also does this other one called Common Sense. And he hardly ever puts out an episode anymore. And about when Trump got elected, that he was like, I'm not going to be able to do a lot of these because I can't make sense of what's going on anymore. But he proposed an argument for essentially drafting a president. Like the idea is that you get a group of people,
Right.
and then you pick someone who you think would be a good president, and of course they don't want to
Probably
be.
has someone
Like
that
jury
with no
duty.
interest in the job.
Well, that's almost like a pre-qualification,
Right.
Yeah.
because you have to be
Oh,
insane
absolutely.
to want
Yes.
that job.
You have to be a narcissistic egomaniac.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and
I was thinking about that yesterday. I was like, how the fuck why did Barack Obama, because he's an ego, because you're so accomplished.
ego.
Like you like that's an ego thing. Like, did he, because he stopped short of accomplishing a lot of shit that he could have done.
yeah.
It was like, yep, I did it 2 terms. Fuck you. And why? Because when you're that fucking accomplished, what is there left? And that's a gross oversimplification. I mean, I love Barack Obama, the Obamas,
Sure.
but I'm like, I was just thinking about that, and I'm like, why the fuck would you want that job? Why did he want that job? It's such a dirty business, and
you really don't get paid. I mean,
Yeah. It's nothing to do with the pay.
when you've already got that kind of money anyway, what is the point? I don't. You could not fucking pay me
so
enough
that
to be
people
the
can say
president.
gross shit about you and your family for the rest of your
Constantly.
lives and stuff. People still talk shit about
Death
Michelle
threats?
Obama, and I'm like, how the fuck do you what is there about Michelle Obama that fucking makes
Yup.
people so furious and say makes them say such disgusting things?
She is
Fucking
brilliant.
creeps.
Have you ever heard her talk?
Yes,
She's the one that should have
she's
been
one
the
of the most
president.
impressive
Holy
fucking-
shit.
I think about that all the time.
Oh my god, yeah.
I
Mm-hmm.
used to watch, or like to watch Taxi Cab
Confessions?
karaoke. No,
That show is dope.
Carpool Karaoke. That's
Oh,
what it's called.
Carpool, yep.
And one of my favorite episodes ever was when Michelle Obama was on there, and my God, can she sing? She's
I
got an
believe it.
amazing voice.
What can't she do?
She
Yeah.
is. Oh my! I am in awe of
So
her.
let's just pick somebody at random. Like the example was Dwayne The Rock Johnson, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like everybody kind of likes him. He seems like a decent guy, right? So we just say, all
be
right,
good.
fuck it. We want The Rock to be the next president. And then you start basically like a Kickstarter campaign and raise the money
Right.
and get him to sign on to become president. And I'm like, I don't think that idea would work. And neither does Dan, right?
Mm-hmm.
But the idea is that there is no
The biggest problem with that is how many fucking times do you think we would have to tell our right-wing friends that John Dutton is a character from a fucking TV show and not a real person? Motherfuck, that would just get to be exhausting.
It
and it would
really
just,
would.
Oh,
But he'd be such a good president.
right?
no, he wouldn't actually.
He would
be
He's not even a
terrible.
very
He's an
good
awful
governor.
person, no.
Okay, so we were talking about Yellowstone now, and I really have to talk a little bit about Yellowstone. I know that you're
I'm
not
not caught up.
Amy.
Nope. But that's okay.
But I enjoy Yellowstone. I've been going over to Kyle and Christine's to
Mm-hmm.
watch Yellowstone on Monday nights, and I'm having a wonderful time doing it.
Even with me bagging on the show through half the episode,
Yeah, I don't care. That's good.
I do talk a lot of shit about that show.
I mean, even with Milo, like getting polyurethane all over my favorite sweatshirt.
He's still got some on him too.
But the other night on episode 5, I believe it was, the main character Beth, I guess is she gets into this fist fight with this hippie chick, and she punches the hippie chick in the face. The hippie chick goes down. The hippie chick gets back up, says like, "What's the fuck?" And Beth's like, "We'll fight now." And she goes to throw another punch, and the hippie chick fucking does a sweet ass judo throw, takes her down, takes her back, and fucking has her in a short choke. And she says to Beth, 9 years of jiu-jitsu. And I was like, cool. This is going to be a great scene. Choke Beth unconscious, walk back in.
Yep, she's going to learn a lesson.
That's not how it played out.
No.
Beth gave her an elbow. She got on top there, boom. And then this fight
And of course
goes
has to
on
talk
and
shit
on
that
and on.
Jiu-jitsu shit. Blah,
Yeah,
blah, blah.
blah, blah, blah. Okay, so 9 fucking years of jiu-jitsu, and she had her back with her hooks in and a choke applied, and somehow Beth magically got out of it.
Gets her. The girl ends up getting her ass kicked by the raging alcoholic rich chick.
Yeah. I thought I was watching fucking Harry Potter. She was like, Spectro Escapum or some shit like that. It was just,
It was stupid.
Fucking
It was
enraged.
fucking
and I
stupid.
tried to get over it, but I couldn't get over it. I kept fucking thinking, Jesus
You
Christ.
shouldn't get over it.
9 years of
That was-
jujitsu, my fucking ass.
That was
And I-
shabby writing.
I had to
shabby
put a
writing.
post on Facebook, which I hardly ever do anymore, but I was like, I know fucking 30 white belt women who would fucking put Beth to sleep in 20 seconds or less, and I will make that fight happen, Beth, if you want to. I know you're a fictional character, but it doesn't really matter. I will make that fight happen if you want
And
to.
ask your dad if he'll be the president while you're at it.
Yes, if you could. Though it is interesting, again, and not kind of, but though we were talking a little bit about how. So the idea, John Dutton, who was played by Kevin Costner, he runs for governor, and he's like totally unapologetic, totally uncooperative. He's just going to do whatever, and it doesn't work. I don't in the show. It doesn't matter about the show, but like in real life, that doesn't really work because, I mean, we saw it with Jesse Ventura back when.
Yeah,
Well,
he
and
hit run around
because
being an
that's a
asshole to
dictator.
everybody. Yeah.
What's that?
And because that's a dictator.
Right. That's exactly.
And we don't
it.
actually live in a dictatorship.
Right.
So.
But on one side of it though, it would be really refreshing to have a politician who is just like, I don't care about running for re-election. I don't care about like filling my campaign coffers. What I want to do is accomplish this agenda. In this case of John Dutton, his agenda is essentially to help himself, which, again, it's a fictional show, it's fine. But, if somebody was like, okay, I'm just going to do whatever it takes to fix America, this is what I'm going to do. Get Jocko Willink, let's get him in there, and he'd just be like, this is what we're going to do, whatever. But it would be very difficult to actually do that because you'd have these two.
Well, because half of the
political-
half the country sees things one way and half the country sees things a different way. So even if I wanted to go in there and fix the country, which I could absolutely do, I have ideas on everything if you just let me fix it. But half the country is going to look at what I'm doing and be like, "Are you fucking kidding me?
Do you
Are
remember
a
that-
communist?"
What if we just
Do-
changed the rules about voting so that you had to only people that could read, only people that read at least one book a year
Oh, I've thought about it.
could vote?
Actually, so I think if there was going to be a way to do it, I think we'd want to go the other way and have voting be mandatory.
Yeah, I think so.
I like
too.
the idea of mandatory voting, but
Yep.
I see problems with
There's problems.
or
with all of it.
compulsory voting, however you want to say it, where you don't have to vote, but if you don't,
I mean, yeah.
there's a tax break if you do, or however you'd want to do it.
In my ideal world, you have to be an intelligent, responsible citizen to vote. But constitutionally,
You
that's a
just
poll
have to be a
tax.
white landowner.
So, yeah. Constitutionally, you have to let people. Well, okay, not constitutionally.
Constitutionally, you have to be a white
Right.
landowner. but-
Exactly.
A white male landowner.
Thank you.
Well,
Let's go back to that.
You had to be. You had to
We'll do
be.
that.
Can we talk about
you had
Beth
to be-
Dutton as a
God, I fucking
feminist
hate her
icon?
so much.
You had to be.
Does she get better in the new season? Oh, she's the worst.
fucking
I
worst.
fucking hate her so much.
So okay, yeah, talk about her. Feminist icon.
So, I keep seeing. On social media, I keep seeing Beth Dutton. That character is really popular among women.
Really?
Yeah,
Or
and
among someone.
What women?
women, a lot of women from my hometown.
Oh,
But
those women. Okay.
no,
That
just
makes sense.
but I see she's really popular with a lot of women. I saw a post the other day. Somebody was like, "We need some Beth Dutton in here," and I'm like,
No.
honey, no. Like a raging alcoholic, fucking violent, abusive.
She's a straight up psychopath.
Yeah,
She's a psychopath.
that
who-
character is not someone to fucking look up to.
No, especially as a She lives her. Okay, again, have not seen the newest season. Not caught
Then
up.
again, I'm biased as fuck. I like a good psycho,
Well, who doesn't?
like on The Expanse. Like my favorite characters. But I mean, he's a good guy. Like he follows Amos, on The Expanse, but he latches on to people that are good because he acknowledges that he is broken. So he follows good people,
So-
that he's on the right side.
Let's
of
do
things.
this thought experiment. Let's say that it was Ben Dutton, not Beth Dutton, and Ben acted the way Beth acted.
Sure.
He would be a fucking monster.
Yeah.
Nobody could
Absolutely.
like him.
Absolutely.
Yeah. You can't just run around and stick your dick in everything and fucking
And then
punch people in the
punch
face
people
and fucking
and hit- yeah.
and be horrible and say rude, super rude shit and be fucking condescending and prickish to fucking members of the opposite, members of,
Yeah,
everyone.
I think the biggest problem with her, just speaking as the feminist icon thing, from my understanding, she lives her entire life to serve her dad. Right? She's just there to do whatever gets her dad, whatever her dad needs. How the fuck is that a feminist icon? Really? Her whole role in life is, Daddy, let me help you get whatever you need, Daddy.
So I think
to serve her own
Really?
personal patriarchy.
Exactly. What the fuck? No. And she admits it's not even because she loves her dad that much, as far as I can tell. She fucks over her brother because he took her to get an abortion that she begged for. Spoiler alert. Sorry. That one pissed me off because you were a kid. Yeah. So was he. And he took you to do a thing that you asked him to do. And so that worked out badly for you. So
and now
instead of
spend
blaming
the rest of your life trying to ruin his life.
Right. Instead of blaming the system that put you in that position, you're just going to fuck his life over because he did a thing as a teenager that was she is just an absolute fucking monster.
I think the reason, let me speak.
Okay,
for
please
all
do.
women.
Yes, please do.
I think the reason that she is attractive to some women is because she is like a strong woman who doesn't give any fucks.
She has no fucks to give.
And that
I like that.
Is cool.
We need more of those.
With just maybe tone down on the
but maybe not as
psychopathy.
Violent and as just not giving a shit.
I actually don't really have that big of a problem with Beth. I just have a problem with her fucking being able to defeat somebody who has 9 years of jiu-jitsu when the fight has gone to the ground and she has her back taken.
I also really hated it when they had that kid. They got the kid. She was so fucking mean to that kid. I'm sorry, but he is a kid, and maybe it's because I am a mother of 2 teenage boys. But so what? He was an asshole in the store and wanted nice clothes. Really? Oh my God! This fucking kid who's been traumatized his whole life was kind of an asshole in the store. So you're gonna make him sleep in the fucking stable and do all your chores?
What about Rip as a? So if you guys have not,
I'm on board with
if you guys
Rip.
have not saw Yellowstone, I mean,
go watch it. You're not going to get any of this unless you watch it.
But Rip
it's a good show. I like
is
it.
Beth's man, and a lot of women really find him attractive.
Oh yeah.
Can you explain to?
I can.
Do
you want me to explain to men why that is?
Could you?
Can I speak on behalf of all women?
Woman-splain that to us?
Please let me. I will absolutely, because I have thoughts.
Is it because he puts up with all her crazy bullshit?
I mean, a little bit, but not necessarily.
I have already heard your theory.
I mean, that's a little bit of it, yes. We all want someone who puts up with our shit. He doesn't complain, for one thing. Women are used to having a significant other who complains to them constantly, which that's a whole nother issue I could talk about for hours. It has to do with men not having emotional support systems and good friendships and being social. Anyway, he doesn't bitch to her all day long. He's just kind of silent and just whatever. But I feel like, encapsulate this, for straight women anyway, this masculinity, all the masculinity's there. And that in real life, that would not work out well. But on a TV show, you can just, in real life, that guy does not exist. And if he did, he would be beating you, most likely.
Well, God, I would hope so.
But that's kind of what he would do. So it's one of those things where, I fully acknowledge that in real life, that is not somebody I would want to date. But it's nice on a, sort of fantasy level to be there's all of the raw masculinity that I am attracted to in a person, and he just shuts up and doesn't go home and complain about shit.
Well, I also noticed that he when he does disagree with her, it's always privately.
Yeah, he's not an asshole to her.
She'll say stupid shit out in public in front of everybody, and it's fucking horrible. And then he'll when they're alone, he'll be like, "Honey," fucking and that.
He's reliable.
That's pretty cool.
He's reliable.
Reliable.
I mean, he's always that. He adores her, likes nobody. Puts up with all of her shit, and
checks the
continues
Brainerd
to
box
only
too.
like her.
he checks that Brainerd box
the
too.
Brainerd box?
He was in trouble with the law. He was incarcerated or whatever when he was a kid.
Bad boy.
Yeah.
Listen, I'll admit that we like a bad boy.
Yeah.
Sorry, not sorry.
That's something that I at one point I heard that women grew out of, but I don't think they grew out of that shit ever.
I think there's stages of like, again, the idea of having a bad boy is different than actually having
The reality of it, right?
Exactly.
A bad boy does not make a good.
No.
A good
Where's my
husband.
Absolutely
fucking
not.
car?
Yeah, no. It does not work out well in real life.
I think Rip is a fucking pussy. I mean, not in like, I mean, he'd definitely take you out back and shoot you.
Mm-hmm.
But in his relationship with Beth, he just lets her run all over him. He is like he never like stands up for himself and let her. And I don't think that's actually attractive.
It is not. And I honestly, in my personal experience, men who do that, who don't ever stand up to the other person and be like, you know what, that was fucked up what you did, or challenge them, that gets boring really fucking quickly.
Really fast.
Very
Yeah.
quickly. And I don't know that that's gender specific. I think that's any relationship. But if you have somebody who is just constantly catering to your every, I don't know. I had a boyfriend once who did that, and I didn't like the person I became when I was with him, because I would do things just to see if he would do them, and that was fucked up. And I got to a point where I'm like, wow, I'm an asshole. But it was just that I was playing this game in my mind where it was like I would literally say things like, I'm really thirsty, just to see if he would get up and go get me water, and he would every single time.
And then let it sit there and don't let the glass sit there and don't touch it.
You can't. I feel like you can't respect somebody that doesn't. Part of it is just them standing up for themselves, or them, you know, you can't be somebody else's doormat.
Right.
You know?
I have definitely seen it with women, like men who have subservient women, and like that's not a real relationship anymore.
No.
That's a relationship that you like have with a pet.
And it's
Exactly.
gross to watch.
It's gross.
Yeah.
It's
a
so
housekeeper.
uncomfortable, and
It's disgusting.
And Rip is just this fucking cuck with fucking girly hands. Christine is fucked up by his hands because apparently, now I notice, but they're really like dainty and slender.
Oh,
His
yeah.
fingers are very slender and like,
not accurate.
and
If you're out like cowboying all day,
Yeah.
or whatever that you.
but I mean,
Well, you can
you're
have
not gonna
small
manicured
hands.
nails.
you can have yeah, I've got little hands, but they're just gnarly and shit. But like, yeah. But the thing is, like, he's an actor, and I stuck up for the actor himself because I like the actor. I even like the character. And I was like, honey, he's an actor. Like, they're not gonna like you don't send him out like we like you for this part. We like everything about you, but we really need to fuck up your hands.
I mean,
he probably plays piano or something. He'd be like, fuck you.
maybe.
I don't know. Do small hands like have any weird trait? I know Trump had incredibly small hands, so does that?
I've never
Lead
noticed
to-
hands.
There's no.
It's not
Like,
It's not like
not that I know of.
phrenology, or is that what it was called?
Phrenology.
Phrenology. Is that the head bumps?
Yeah, that's phrenology.
Phrenology, yeah.
I don't think small hands equate to anything. That
Oh, speaking of me not knowing words,
it's all right. I know a lot of words. So.
well, I think I do. Words, like, as you all know, there are many words that I say inaccurately, and accurate is one of them. Accurate sounds fucking stupid in my mouth, and I refuse to say it. But the other day I was saying something about grammatically correct, right?
You mean grammatically?
Well,
correct?
apparently that is the right word. But I was fucking for sure that it was grammatically. So we looked up grammatically. Well, I know that now with a Y.
I can't help myself. Sorry. Go ahead.
And but grammatically is a word. It's a word that
this
means
is an amazing coincidence.
making words up that sound like other words to make
That
yourself
sound like they should be words. Yeah.
they sound like they should be words to make yourself smarter. And I was
It's a very
like,
male thing to do, I got to say.
For sure. It's
100% a male thing to do.
yeah, absolutely. But so, but yeah, so it was just And it was funny because who looked at it? What did it? Yeah, because Erin looked it
Yeah,
up.
she looked up.
And like when we're talking about like grammatically, we're talking about this shit. And
It just hurts you to hear it, huh?
It happens that the fucking word is a real word, but it means that like what? Oh, that was just such a weird coincidence.
And then there was that stupid movie that you made me watch. What was that one called? The one about glass houses.
Big Wet Asses 4?
No, onion, glass onion.
Oh, glass onion, yeah.
And it just so happened that Kyle was just talking about this movie, and in that movie, Ed Norton makes up fucking words all the time, and he is using grammar. No,
but those were good ones too, though.
yeah.
He
They sounded just as good as mine.
Like he snuck a couple of them past me before I was like, oh, is that even a word? And then when they mentioned it, I was like, okay, cool. So those, because they barely showed up on my radar because I was like,
So I've always wondered, so like accurate, right? So I didn't learn to read till I was much older than most people, 13, 14, like before I had even basic reading ability. Now I read fairly well, but it was a long struggle. And I think part of the reason why I say words incorrectly is because I never saw them written out. So it was just however they sounded, that's how they were to me. And now if I have to go spell accurate, that's a real bitch. Cause
I actually have, so I don't know if this is related at all, but
that can't possibly be where it grammatically came from.
You
know what I mean?
It's so my 12-year-old is autistic and has ADHD, but he will do things like he pronounces the L in salmon, so he says salmon. And even when I tell him, but it's a silent L, he'll just be like, I don't care.
Yeah.
I pronounce it this way. That's the correct way. And I've talked to, so my friend Dell, who is also autistic, is fascinating to talk to because they'll just explain to me kind of how their mind works, which helps me understand my son better and kind of how his mind works. And was just like, yeah, when I'm using words, I'm trying to use the most accurate word I can find to describe the thought that I have, because my son also likes big words for no reason. He likes to say beverages instead of drinks. Likes a fancy word. But Dell was like, yeah, that's because in my head I'm like, what is the most precise way to say this thing I'm going to say? And
that's one of the things.
A lot of times it's a weird big word, but if they
I have a lot of respect for somebody who knows they're fucking wrong and just says, no, I like my way better.
That's what he does too. He's like, nope, I'm doing it this way.
So the fruit agave, where tequila comes from, I am 100% positive there's a Y in that word, and I want to say it agave. Yeah, but I like my way better.
I mean, here's the thing. I feel like as long as you are willing to admit that your way is the wrong way.
I like to say the more better wish way.
Here's the thing that I have noticed in the past
my
several
way is
months,
much more better.
As I have entered the world of divorce, and it turns out all my 40-something female friends are getting divorced, just everyone. It's weird. It's like, we call it the revolution. But one thing that we have talked about and that we have noticed is that a lot of our soon-to-be ex-husbands or ex-husbands...
I gotta text my wife quick.
Yeah, do that. One thing we've noticed is that a lot of, and this seems to be something about, I guess, the way men are socialized to be more confident about the things they say or the things they do, but all of our soon-to-be exes, we have realized, say things constantly that they are so confident about that we just assumed they were right, and they just absolutely were not, and it happens all the time. And so when we would be like, I don't know if that's accurate, they'd be like, oh no, it definitely is, 100%. But it turns out they just weren't right, and they didn't know, and they had the confidence anyway to assert how correct they were.
We call that winning.
What the fuck is that about? Like,
well,
if I'm not sure about
Google
a thing,
has really fucked that up for me, because I have been
motherfucker
totally convinced that I'm right about
all kinds of things
in my life, and now people are like, I think you might be fucking wrong, and then they whip out their phone, and I'm like, don't look it up.
God, right? Just powering, just powering through some shit, like using like sheer force of will.
Yeah, I feel
is not as powerful as it used to be.
Yeah, it's really gratifying when I actually am right. But I was talking to Howard the other day. Well, fucking 2 years ago. But I said something about casting.
It was another day.
It was another day. I said something about casting pearls before swine, which is one of my favorite things. And he's like, "Where's that come from?" And I was like, "John, it comes from the fucking Bible." And he's like, "No, it doesn't." John's big Christian. And I was like, "Oh, yes, it does." And he's like, "No, it doesn't." And he whips out his phone. I thought, fuck, it better be in there. And it was.
See, but I was going to say, I'm pretty sure that is from the Bible.
It
But
was.
if that were to come
But I
up
didn't
for me,
actually know. I just heard it was, and so I had stuck with it.
I feel like, though, if that were me in that situation, or any number of my female friends, and again, I'm convinced this is just kind of how we're socialized, I would have immediately gone, "It's not," and then been mortified because I was wrong and I thought I was right, and then I would have like looked it up myself just to, because I would.
See, just saying that something's in the Bible is enough to shut me the fuck up anyway, because
who wants to read that shit?
yeah, Bible's never really been big in my house. Like,
Stupid.
I mean,
The Bible's boring.
Yeah, but it was just nice that I was able to use a Bible reference.
Yes,
to
because I do
Bible
envy
guide.
that. Like, you know, Herbalilla,
Yeah.
philosophy professor, he knows his verse, and it is impressive. And I don't even think he's a Christian, but he fucking knows his verse so well, and it's really fucking impressive. I don't wish that I did. I wish that I did. I don't wish enough to actually learn it. Like a lot of
like
folks.
put it this way, like let's say that we get the chip, right? And then like, you know, Matrix style, like, yeah, I would definitely put like scripture in there just so like I could whip that shit out whenever I needed to.
I mean, it's an
But
interesting
I'm not actually
cultural
gonna, like, learn it.
reference,
Yeah.
but I feel like most of the people who can do that either were raised way too Christian and they were forced to do that, or it's atheists who are just kind of fascinated by it, like want to learn it because
want to win an argument.
they want to argue, yeah.
Yeah.
But I guess my whole point was just it really feels like men are way more confident about asserting they are correct about a thing that they just objectively are not correct about.
Oh no, I think
And-
that's 100%.
Yeah, I think that's fucking absolutely.
It's
I mean,
obnoxious, and men should stop doing that. I'm just saying.
Nah.
You really should, though.
you know,
You
It's
really.
it's
I feel
fun.
like it's unless you want to be part of the revolution.
I think maybe
I'm trying to
You're talking
recruit
about the divorce.
everybody into the divorce revolution.
So I've been if you guys don't know, we never even talked about this going in, but Amy with a Y is
Oh, I'm
one
getting
half
divorced.
but she's one half of a team of Amy's, Amy with an I,
Yes.
and she does a podcast called Secular Soup, which is a pretty wonderful podcast. I have been
Really?
listening to it.
It's
No, well, it's actually, so this is what I was gonna say. I was gonna say, guys, you guys do a way better job than we do.
Oh my God, no, we don't.
Oh, you totally do. Like, it sounds like it's got this intro and shit, and I'm just like,
Oh,
fuck,
yeah, no,
I'm
we get people to do that
jealous.
shit for us.
Well, I know, but we don't get anybody to do
That's
anything.
because you're not female.
Well, that might be true.
That's
But in there,
this is one of those things we can't just power through.
I don't remember what the episode was called. Schmishmorst?
Schmishmorshe.
Schmishmorst?
That was a joke from the beginning because when we first started the show, Amy was getting divorced.
Okay.
So, in fact, when we started the show, her husband was going to do all the editing, and she called me one day and was like, "So I'm getting divorced, and we're going to have to find someone else
Do you
to
do
edit."
editing?
I know how to do it.
I mean, you don't do it with the show, it's
hate
just-
it. We don't anymore. When we first started the show, we actually had a professional editor who did it for free. And because he was looking for a project, and he was a podcaster who had done this, he was in radio for a long time. So our earlier episodes are better because he would professionally edit all of them. But then he just wasn't able to do it anymore. So then I had to teach myself how to do it, and I fucking
personally
hate it.
prefer
We just quit
non-edited
editing.
shows.
That's what
just
we do now. We
for the
we
most
put it on
part.
YouTube. We just live stream it, and we're like, fuck it. Nobody has time for editing.
Right.
So
And
we
then-
just slap the
and then
intro
it's a little
outro
more
on, and
honest.
It is.
Like, you
yeah.
know, if you totally say something fucking stupid,
Yeah.
it's just gonna stay in there.
Yeah, and we stopped at a certain point. You know, when you start doing it, you're really self-conscious about all of your ums and your ahs and your, pauses and all of this shit. And then after a while, you just have less fucks to give,
Yeah.
and you're like, but that's what conversation sounds like.
And
you know?
you do less of those anyway.
Yeah, true.
I've gotten better
when
at
you're
that.
aware of them.
And I'll go back and watch when we first started.
Early ones, yeah.
And I'm like, holy shit. I don't remember what those are called.
Verbal tics?
There's a word for them, and Christine knows it, goddammit, and I can't remember it.
Yeah.
Unless she made that fucking word up.
She might have.
And because she seems confident about it.
She probably did.
I don't know.
I like her even more if that's the case.
I might be getting buffaloed on that shit. I'm
Yes,
not sure.
that's...
So I was listening to that episode about
Anyway,
you getting
schmishmorsed,
schminorsed. And like, so I think I have relatively unorthodox views about marriage in and of itself, but especially marriage in our Western culture, and how I just think it's like absolutely ridiculous. And some of the things that you were talking about, how do you expect yourself at 24 to be the person that you are at, whatever age you are now?
At 29, right? Like no, I'm kidding.
Maybe
I'm 45.
should you have to have marriage renewed every 5 to 10 years?
Here's what I was actually thinking about this today, because I think about it every day these days. But I think marriage is ridiculous. I think, sorry, Kyle, except yours.
Well, actually, yeah.
Yours and John Carlson's, the only two good marriages. There you go.
Why? Actually, so you mentioned John Carlson. I now do want you to finish your point.
Yeah.
But you were talking like about how he's the one person that you know that's happily married, and I was like, and then he doesn't have any kids, and I was like,
oh, absolutely, kids. Fuck
those
up
two
everything.
things
Kids fuck
definitely
up
go hand
everything.
in hand.
Well, part of it is kids absolutely do fuck up everything,
Of course.
especially for women, because, man, just having kids fucks up your entire, not just your body, but mentally changes everything about you. And for me, I know that having kids was, it's something I kind of had to talk myself into. It wasn't something that I really wanted from the outset. But once you do it and you go through all of it, you kind of, for me anyway, I got switched into this kind of mom gear, right? Like my brain was in mom mode all the time. And that becomes the most important thing. And so you just, at a certain point, for me, again, only speaking on behalf of me, but this seems to be the experience of a lot of my female friends, is that becomes your focus. And it has to. That's biologically, you're supposed to be taking care of your offspring, right? So you just don't, the man who's in your house, if he becomes your third child, which again is the experience of most of the women I know who I have found out now are getting divorced, basically these men have kind of let us take over more and more of their lives and become just another person we have to take care of. But it almost feels like that's kind of inevitable. And again, yeah, when you're 24-year-old Amy was a fucking idiot and still believed in psychics. Like, I don't know, 45-year-old Amy is a totally different person. And to expect me at 24 to have the audacity to go, yeah, I'm going to want to be with this guy for the rest of my life. Like, what was I think? But the fact that society convinced me that was realistic is what pisses me off. Like, why do we think that is a realistic goal?
I mean,
all? It
the
makes
only
no
reason
sense to
marriage
me.
is realistic for me, and I actually expect mine is happy, and I expect mine to work, is because we got married in our fucking mid 40s. You know, like up until then, I mean, I had been married before, but like basically like the whole having kids and settling down is just because I was fucking tired of spending so much fucking money on the morning after pill. But like, it's so fucking, it's every fucking, looking back, I'm just like, holy shit, that's how you got into relationships?
I mean,
holy shit, that's how you conducted relationships? You know, like I'd do shit like burn down perfectly healthy relationships just to see if I could like rescue it and win and fucking
because people
keep
are
the,
messy
you know,
and
like
complicated.
Stupid shit.
I think if we just got rid
Like
of
just for my own entertainment, it was fucking stupid.
Yeah. If we would change our mindset, if we did nothing else and just changed our mindset to the idea that marriage can't and shouldn't be expected to last forever,
So
that it would just last until it lasts and until one or the other person is kind of out, and that's okay. If we could be okay with that, I think it would be
What are other
better.
cultures like?
So I was going to bring this up. So I, like, when I was listening to that podcast, it reminded me of a book that I read many, many years ago. And actually, I believe it was written by a husband and wife team, but it was called The Druids. And it was they were both anthropologists, and it was a pretty comprehensive look at and it was a novel, but it was a pretty comprehensive look at like what we know of Celtic Druid culture. And anyway, and who cares if any of this shit is correct? That doesn't actually matter. The concept was very interesting. And the idea was that in the Celtic cultures, or whatever culture it was, they would do. There would be the maypole, right? So the eligible women of the area would dance on the maypole, and then the males would would pick them, but of course that was consensual. They didn't have to go, but they would. And then if you were chosen, then you would embark on a 1 month trial marriage, which was called the honeymoon. And essentially you would go out in the wilderness with a tent and a keg of honey mead,
Right.
and you would
And do your
get
thing.
slobbering drunk, and you'd fuck like bunnies. And if at the end of the month you could still stand each other, then you could become hand-fasted, and then that was a 1 year commitment, right?
Which
and
seems
at the end
much more reasonable
of
than
the
forever.
year, then you would be up for renewal, right? So if you wanted to, if the woman wanted to, she could just go cast her fucking
She could
lacy
just be
thing
done with
on
it,
the
yeah.
on the maypole, and then she'd be up for renewal.
See, if I've had experience with something similar, but usually the whole courting period, you're with the girl that you found dancing around the pole, lasts until you're out of cocaine. So
Yeah.
I mean,
it's a
little different pole.
scientifically,
Now-
maybe I'm a druid.
But there's
I don't know.
there's a couple of issues with it that that the Celtic culture, or this culture in this particular fucking weird book, address. And one of them is that the reason we at least in Western cultures think that people should be married is to have children and then to raise those children as a team, and that it makes sense. And even
Sure.
as you were talking in your podcast,
Yeah, it's survival.
there's a point where it doesn't really matter how good or bad that relationship it is. It's just that's a partner to do part
It's a
of the
tag
work
team.
to, and you need that.
yeah.
So in the Celtic culture, it was that obligation went to the mother's brother. So if you had a child, the mother's brother would be the male role model and have
okay.
and custody of that child. So if something happened to the mother,
Yeah.
the mother's brother would be the one, and then the husband, which is whatever, he was responsible for his sister's children, right? And that was the whole.
So-
And there was some wiggle room, because what if you didn't have a brother? Then an uncle would step in and whatever.
So
But then-
co-parenting, but without the romantic relationship.
Exactly.
basically.
So you still
It
had
would be
that
a shitty
partner,
system for my kids.
Right,
but
I know.
A fucking great deal for my niece.
right? And then it's and then I start thinking about it, and I have a wonderful sister.
Yeah, my brother's great.
But
But
not everybody's in that
everybody is.
situation,
No.
and we don't live in a community like
No.
they did then. So that because they didn't because the mom and the brother didn't cohabitate,
Right.
right?
What we do have, though, now is we have a society where we are allowed to choose who our family is and choose what kind of living situation we want. And I think if we, as a culture and as a society, would get more accepting of alternative lifestyles, of
Right.
people's chosen family, of non-traditional ways of raising kids, I think we'd be a lot better off. If we didn't kind of pigeonhole people into this idea of a parental
nuclear
unit,
family
the nuclear
and-
family, and these, the mom and the dad. And there's so much in our culture that just cements that. And it becomes
And I
suffocating
I think
for
that's
people.
I think that's an insurmountable thing to change, because our whole culture is based on these Puritan
Wrapped up in that
belief systems.
That's the
Judeo-Christian
problem, yeah. That's the whole problem.
model. Yeah.
I mean,
But
yeah.
so what I think the easiest way for people to end up finding a partner that they actually and true romantic happiness is to get those fucking practice marriages out of the way. You need to have one,
True.
pop out a couple of kids, do your best to raise them up, and then get that fucking practice marriage out of the way, and then find an actual fulfilling relationship. And
I don't
that
think
doesn't
we
have to
need
be
that.
a marriage
Like,
thing.
I don't even think God, I'm fucking cynical at this point. I've been cynical for a long time. I'm just even more cynical.
But don't you think that the whole idea, in your podcast, you mentioned about how when you were thinking about getting divorced, that you were like, yeah, but I promised to be with him
Yeah.
forever. And it's like,
That meant
yeah, but
something.
what if you didn't have to promise
Oh,
to be.
that would be
What if
great.
you had a marriage and like you were like, hey, let's get married.
Let's do this thing until it.
Let's have some
it's
children
done. Yep.
and let's commit to making sure that we stay together and raise those children until the child is like the youngest child is a minimum age of 10. And then after that, then we can reevaluate. And if we're okay, we keep going. If we're not okay, then we go our separate ways.
I mean, I think that honestly, I think the problem with marriage in our culture is that it is tied to romantic relationships. I think romantic relationships are messy and complicated, and it's one thing to say let's stay together and raise these kids. Okay, as long as we're both in it to raise these kids. But when what we expect is for people to stay in love. And to spice up their marriage, and you have all of these self-help things about spicing up your marriage, which always ends up being the woman's fault because she is not being sexy enough or something. Like that's just one more thing we need to do for the man children in our homes. But yeah, I think you inevitably you're going to fall out of love with people. You just are.
Back before the
cynical. Sorry.
I feel like we're going to leave this episode with the Tammy Wynette classic "Stand by Your Man."
Look up limerence. I'm just saying.
So
Google it.
Hey, you're making up words now too.
Limerence. Google it.
Fucking A. I just had a good one and I lost my train of thought. Shit.
Because you were thinking about limerence.
Well, then you shot that one in there and I couldn't remember. What we were talking about.
I think you don't know how to say limericks.
Limerence.
Committing to.
There once was a man from Nantucket.
Oh my God. Limerence is basically, we have studied how brains work, and basically we're all just chemical soup, and you falling in love is brain chemicals and brain chemistry. And okay, go ahead.
So remember before, yes, yes, but remember before the change in the Supreme Court decision to allow gay marriage.
Oh yeah,
right.
Yep.
There was a huge debate going on, blah 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 blah, and I was always of the opinion that we should just do away with marriage altogether and only have civil unions.
Yeah,
and they should be contracts. Like
Short
they should be legal. Well, they wouldn't necessarily have to be, but you would go and negotiate a contract, right? And, you would be like, these are my responsibilities. These are your responsibilities. This is, if you don't do these things, you're in breach of contract. If I don't, and actually have them be fucking contracts rather than, and then if you want to go get married and you want to be in front of your fucking church and your family and your dog and whatever, then fucking do that, right? But, and I think those civil contracts should be relatively rare. Like that shouldn't be something that just, it's like, oh, I'm 20. I definitely need to get.
I think they should just absolutely always be short term. I think you should have 5 years max. And I think at the end of that term, either person can be like, I'm just done. And it doesn't have to be messy, and it doesn't have to be expensive and complicated.
That is the way it is.
That's
at
how it
any
should
time.
Be.
This is all you need to do to get out of a marriage.
Right.
You just tap. I mean, you can get out. It's not. You're not.
It's been surprising to me just how much, since this, and because I was the one that made the decision. I've turned into such a villain because I didn't give a good enough reason. You have to have a really, really good reason. If
it's got to be something dramatic and catastrophic.
Exactly, it's got to be dramatic. It's got to be cheating. It's got to be violence. There's got to be something happening. And in my marriage, that wasn't the case. There was nothing happening. I wasn't married to an abuser. There wasn't cheating. There were none of those issues that are dramatic and call for screaming at each other, and none of that was happening. So then I'm looked at as though, well, then what's the problem?
Right.
Like, why do you want to leave? And how dare you throw away 21 years of marriage because you changed your mind? Like, what is wrong with you? And it gets so frustrating to be looked at that way. I should be able to just say I'm fucking done and that's it.
So I've been married twice. To two different women, and and I have 2 children, one with each of them, and I'm no longer married to either one of them, and I don't feel like I've thrown away either of
No.
those marriages. They were
They were good while they lasted. I assume.
exactly like
Yep.
well, good.
Just 'cause they
but
end
the point
doesn't
is
mean they were-
exactly what was
Yeah.
that? I was just
Just because they end doesn't mean they were a failure or that they didn't matter or that you didn't like them while they were happening. But we put it in that context. If it ends, it was all for naught.
it's
you
just
know?
That is weird. I
Which
never
is
really thought about that
stupid.
before. Throw it away.
Well, Dan Savage talked about
Throw
that
it
a
away.
lot on his podcast. When I don't even know if he still does Savage Love, but he used to talk about it on Savage Love, where people look at marriage. It's a successful marriage if one of you dies. If one of you dies first, you had a successful marriage. It doesn't matter if you screamed at each other, you hated each other, and one of you was an alcoholic. Doesn't
You get
fucking matter.
bonus points
So
if you
if
one
die
of you
close
died-
together.
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
If you die together, you get all
If
the
one
points.
of you died, but if you had a good marriage, if you were happy enough together, if you had kids, if you were successful, but one of you chose to not be married anymore, that was a failure. Your marriage was a failure. And we don't seem to see how fucked up that is. Like, just because you managed to live your entire life without ever not being in that marriage, that doesn't mean it was good, or that it was a good way to spend your life, or that it was successful. For me, like, when I got married, I went into it with no cold feet whatsoever. I was confident I was doing the right thing. It was what I wanted. I really do think I went into it with a clear head. I think he did too. I think it was great for a long time. But eventually, you change. You get older. You fall out of love. That happens.
And I also think another thing is that because it's a never-ending commitment, then most people wait until it gets way shittier than it should be
Absolutely.
to end it.
Well, and I think this is a big thing my therapist has talked about with me, actually, and that has, again, come up with all of the fucking women in their 40s I know. It's funny, when I was in my 20s, all my friends were getting married. We were all at weddings, and now we're all getting divorced. But my therapist has talked about this and this is the case with all the women I know who I've talked to, all of us at some point had some issue that we felt like needed to be addressed with our husbands. In my case, a lot of it was just kind of undiagnosed anxiety, not treating that, all the effects thereof. But with everybody, there was something going on in the marriage that they would try to go to their husband and be like, hey, this is a problem. We need to talk about it. I need you to address it. And most of the time, what would happen is the husband would either shut down completely, be like, nope, not talking, can't do it, cannot do it, because they didn't have the emotional IQ or the communication skills, or they just couldn't deal with it, so they would not talk about it. And if the woman didn't bring it up again, then it just wasn't an issue anymore. And so that would keep repeating. That would happen over and over again until the woman decided, well, that's not working, so I'm just going to put out all of these nonverbal cues that I'm not happy, right? So you would do all of these things that you in your head thought would make it obvious that you weren't happy. But again, what my therapist said was that 9 times out of 10, the men do not pick up on any of those cues at all.
We are awesome at nonverbal cues. What are you talking about?
They are like, they did not see any of it. And so what happened was all of us go to our husbands and we're like, hey, I want to get divorced. And all of them go, where in the fuck is this coming from? What? There was nothing wrong with our marriage. Why didn't you tell me? Why didn't we talk? Like, we did. But all of them, to a person, have been in full denial about it. And have, in my case, I was blamed for not trying harder to talk about it. And so we usually will get to the point where we're done. Like, for years in our head, we've been kicking it around and trying to figure out if there was a way to save it. And we've gotten to the point where we just fucking can't, and we're done. The men haven't gotten to that point yet. Right. They still in their head think that it's an okay relationship for whatever reason. Like, they think it is what it's supposed to be. And so all of a sudden they're in a situation where their entire life has now changed and they don't understand why, because they don't think there was a problem. And we're frustrated because we're like, I tried to fucking tell you all these times.
I think it's hard to put it on gender lines, but yes, I do think that it is true that a lot of times in a relationship that ends, one person is like completely blindsided
Yeah.
by that, and then the other
Which is
person's like,
shocking.
"Are you fucking kidding me?"
Yeah, like this was okay with you? Like this was a good, but I people get comfortable.
I would say
and
on a
people,
whole, yeah, I would say on a whole, men do have the tendency to be fucking lazy. You would mention in your podcast that you were too lazy to get a divorce.
Oh yeah, I don't want to date.
And you would
Fuck
say that, and it's like, but I mean, I think
It's
a lot of
true.
guys are just too lazy to get out of a relationship because it's like, well,
What else am I gonna
It ain't
do?
great, but
Well, and I
we're just easy.
But I get
we're just
fed.
easily contented.
But you get fed. That's the point. Is that I was talking to someone about this the other day about how and I've talked to John Carlson about this a lot too. Actually, that we're kind of in this weird generation where the generation that came before us was still kind of in those gender roles. Was still, the wife was still doing the cooking and the housework and doing all of this shit, but the women were starting to work, and we never figured out as a culture how we were going to bridge that gap between, okay, now that they're both at work, who's going to take care of the fucking house, right? Like, we never figured out how to kind of make that work. Or
Right.
divide. We just assumed women would do all of that. Like, they'll work and they'll do all the shit they were doing at home, right? And so we did. And then our generation comes along and we're like, no, fuck that. We want equal marriages. We want the husbands to do shit. And the men, too, are like, no, I want to be a father. I want to be involved. I want to be an equal partner. And they, to a certain extent, they do. Like, they get into the marriages. My husband is an excellent dad and would complain non-fucking stop about not having changing tables in men's rooms at restaurants, and
That
about
does suck.
his friends wanting to go to the bar all the time when he was like, no, I want to be with my kids, and his friends saying things like, oh, you got stuck babysitting, and he's like, no, they're my kids.
Yeah.
I'm not fucking babysitting,
Babysitting
right?
my own kids,
So we're like, our generation has changed. We have changed things so that our husbands are better than their dads were, but we've also, and we see our kids going into this future where it does seem even more egalitarian and more equal, but it's like, it's just not enough for us, because we are still ending up doing all of the mental labor, all of the emotional labor. The mental labor is the thing that I think I didn't know there was a word for that. I just thought it was a thing that festered in my own brain, and it was a me problem. I didn't know it was something every other woman I know who's married was also thinking. And it's basically, I used to explain it to people as like, what's for dinner, right? You have what's for dinner kicking around in your head all day. And that was in the background of my mind for 20 years, every fucking day. What's for dinner? What's for dinner? Now, if I asked my husband, hey, can you make dinner? He would.
yeah.
He's not going to make anything good because he's not going to learn how to cook anything, but he'll make a frozen pizza. He'll go pick something up. He'll make sure that we are fed, which is awesome. But I'm going to have to go to him and say, can you take care of this, right? Because it's in my head, and I'm the one who needs to make sure that it gets taken care of. If I don't do that, he's going to come to me at 4 o'clock and be like, what are the dinner plans? You got plans for dinner? What are we doing for dinner? Should I make something? Like, because it hasn't been kicking around in his head all day. He knows somebody else is going to take on that mental labor about thinking about it and about thinking, do we need shit from the grocery store? If we do need shit from the
See,
grocery
that's
store,
just weird for me to hear, because
It's
I think about dinner all
constant.
day. All day.
You
Like, I'll be eating breakfast looking forward to dinner.
But are you the one making the decision about it?
You never know with us.
I mean,
but you're also fucking grown ass adults. Like, it's a different
Yeah.
thing than
Everything's
Yeah,
a different.
you
At
got-
our
yeah.
stage of the game, everything's a different ballgame. Like
totally.
like division of labor and stuff like that. It basically, like, just who's there. Like, she's better at some stuff. I'm way better at other stuff.
which is
you
how
know,
it
like,
should be, ideally.
Yeah, and I mean, you're primary, boo-boo wrangler, so.
yeah.
Well, and I think, and when it comes to kids, that's where it gets even more complicated, because again, he's a great dad, but for my whole life, my whole adult life, having kids, I can tell you what doctor they go to. I can tell you what sizes they wear. I can tell you what meds they are on. I can tell you what their mental health diagnoses are. I can tell you when their sheets were changed last. I can tell you when they need new clothes. Every single minute detail that goes into a kid's life is in my brain.
Sure, but that's not like that doesn't mean, because that certainly is not my case, right? I do not know, my children's birthdays. I mean, I could come up with it,
But why?
but it would take me
Why
a
don't
while.
you know?
Just it's not in the brain. And it's not that I don't care about my kids and I don't love them and I don't like.
Sure.
I feel like I actually was a fairly good dad and have a good solid relationship with them.
But
It's
if you
just
had to
not
take
those
if you
things.
had to take them to the ER, and the person at the ER said, "What's their date of birth?"
Oh, I could come up with it.
You could,
Yeah, probably.
because that's the thing. Like, it's not that we want to. If we don't remember that stuff, consequences. If I don't remember that my kid's medication is about to run out, they're going to run out. If I don't remind them to take their medication, they're not going to take their medication. If I don't make sure that they have clean clothes to wear, they're not going to have clean clothes to wear. Like, it's all of these little things that have consequences that our husbands just haven't really had to take on and think about because they rely on us to do it. And I think a lot of that is because there is this belief that we want to do it as women. We want to be the ones taking care of our family and taking care of our house. And we, as women, we fall into those roles.
So
we do it because we think we're
right.
supposed to.
But I
right?
also think like if in a healthy relationship, then those divisions of labor should be like discussed and decided on, and
They should
like
be.
I would like I'm willing to do this, and you're willing to do this, and you kind of
But
come
what
up with a
usually
thing.
happens...
See, we just settled into ours.
Well, that's the way most thing happens. Well, are you talking about you and Christine?
Yeah.
It's fucking not fair, Kyle. That's not a fair relationship. I mean, you were both in your 40s,
Yeah.
and you like did like have. You're like, oh, this is what I
Yeah.
do. This, blah, blah, blah. I mean, you guys are great, but that's a totally different
Yeah, I was going to say,
thing.
I should caveat that most of my generalizations are about traditional younger marriage.
So
People who get
I'm
married
having to
young
pull
who have kids.
like my first marriage experience.
Well,
like,
when I think back, I'm like, you don't do the shit my mom did. What the fuck is your problem? I really did expect to be better taken care of.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I remember, oh God, and this stuff just fosters so much resentment after a while. But I will get asked questions all the time, like, how do we do this or how do we do that? And I have to be like, I was not fucking born with a chip in my brain that told me how to make lasagna. I had to figure that shit out myself. But because I'm in the house, the 3 males in my house can just come to me and be like, how do you make lasagna? And I'm supposed to tell them how to do it. I had to learn that out
You need to get those motherfuckers some Google.
I was just thinking, there is this Google machine.
There is.
Same thing that ruined our goddamn bullshit, confidence,
There certainly
the powering through fucking correctness.
Yeah.
I just...
Fuck you, Google.
In my house, even down to how do you spell this word? I'm good at spelling, so they know I know how to spell, so I have to... This is spelled T-H. Holy shit.
See,
The truth
they don't
comes
even
out.
I
need
didn't
to ask
fucking ask you. Jesus
No,
fucking
we did
Christ.
say
Oh.
Google earlier, though. So it
Oh,
must
that's
have-
true.
yeah.
Shit. No, it's... And again, I always thought this was just my problem because I wasn't taking the time to tell my husband, I just need you to fucking get shit done, right? He would if I told him, I need you to take care of the kids getting their vaccinations. Okay, if I went to him and said that, he would do it, but that would consist of me telling him where to get the vaccinations,
Right.
how to look
No, I
up when
get
they
that.
got the last ones, how so it turns into more work for me. So I get to the point where I'm just like, I'll just fucking do it. And that's how all the women I know have done things. They've
So
seen it as more work to get the other person up to speed on it.
So it's totally okay that you got divorced, right?
Oh, I do now, yeah.
But I mean,
do
I
now.
feel like you're saying and I get that because you're not getting necessarily
Right.
acceptance from everybody.
I mean, I
But
am from
peop-
my friends.
right.
I'm
But
talking
there's
generally
the
about
pressure
society.
of
There's this...
But yeah,
Yeah.
I pretty much have the rule. I don't do anything I don't want to do. I mean,
I do
and
now.
again, I'm a grown man now, and I don't have to I don't have those children when they're younger. Sometimes you just got to do shit that you don't want to do because it's
Right.
best for your children. But I'm
Sure.
not in that spot anymore.
Right.
So I just don't do shit,
Neither
anything
am
I don't want to do.
Me neither. I mean, I
Um,
got to a point where, again, talking about the communication issues, I fucking hate cooking. I've never liked it.
Yeah.
One day I just fucking quit.
Yeah.
I quit doing it. Like, nobody's going to starve. They'll figure it the fuck out. And again, my kids weren't little. So, like, they were old enough to know how to get a Pop-Tart
Right.
from the snack thing. My husband's a capable adult. I had to teach him how to make scrambled eggs at age 32 because nobody else did. Because why would you teach a male child how to... But I taught him how to do that. But I got to the point where I just quit doing it, and I didn't tell anybody I quit doing it. I didn't tell him I quit doing it. I just waited until he figured it out. Because going and telling him I was going to quit doing it would have been more mental labor for me. I would have had to worry about his mood and his anxiety and explaining why. Just all of this bullshit where it was like, you know what? If I just fucking stop doing it, shit'll sort itself out. I did the same thing with the laundry. I just quit doing the fucking laundry one day. Like, I guess we'll see when people figure out they need clothes without
But this
me
is
doing
before.
it.
This was before, and now you're...
Oh, yeah, no, now I don't do shit
Right.
that's not for me.
Right.
I'm talking about, yes, during marriage. No, right now we are in a situation where we're...
And you were
Yeah.
still the one that decided to get divorced?
No, but I think
Certainly
that's common, that
was.
people are
Yeah.
like, want to get out of something, and so they just kind of like
I
are
think
trying
you
to
just
say
give
like...
up. You're just like,
And yet, those are the what did you say? Like,
I think
the nonverbal
nonverbal cues.
Like,
That was a nonverbal cue. And it was directly because there were plenty of times where I would say, hey, can you do a load of laundry? And he would do the load of laundry. Again, if I ask for the help, I'll get the help.
but you don't need an automaton.
I
You need a
shouldn't,
partner.
I
Right.
shouldn't
No, I get that.
have to ask for the help, right? I should have a partner who sees that the laundry needs to be done and does the fucking laundry, right?
Or, well, see now, I don't know.
I
That's the
mean-
whole idea of like, I'm sorry, I didn't. Now you're mad at me because I didn't read your mind. But I understand what you're saying. The idea
Right.
is, hey, could you help out with the laundry? And then that should be a cue that I need to
But
put
why
more effort into the laundry. But like on an ongoing basis, you're not. Like,
You're right. It's the fact that I have to ask for the help as though I am the household manager, right? I am
Right.
the
No,
default.
totally
I'm the
get it.
default household manager, and all the women that I know are the default
so
household manager.
in summation, it's totally okay.
Please get divorced, everybody. I'm just.
Well, I mean, if you're
Just
unhappy,
don't get married until you're in your
don't get
40s.
fucking married ever. I've come to the conclusion that
I'm not 100%
Why do
opposed
we-
to getting
yeah.
married for people getting married, and I'm even not even opposed for people to get married at a young age,
Sure.
if they want to have children together, because it
Sure.
just makes things
Whatever.
work better.
do what you're gonna do.
But
I just think we need to get rid of that expectation that
Sure,
it's going
that
to
last forever. Yeah.
Because why? Like, why do we
well,
make
I know
that-
exactly why it dates back to the fucking
Well,
Puritans.
it's
and,
to keep women around taking care of men and making them lasagna and doing their laundry.
I mean, it
and, like-
definitely is a
It's a patriarchy thing.
Judeo-Christian patriarchy. Yes, 100%.
And
And I don't
yeah.
even think that most men would be all of that unhappy with the idea of doing like, okay, I love you forever, but let's just do it for 5 years because
Yeah.
then
Oh,
and then
yeah.
and then
I don't
it
think so
keeps
either.
both people honest. I mean, here, let's just put it out there. So it's like, so I know a lot of guys who got married to this really hot woman when they were in their 20s, and now the next thing you know, they are married to their mom, and they're unhappy with that, and now they don't have any sexual desire. Okay, but if it's just a 5-year commitment, like that still might happen, but then you don't have to renew.
Yeah, absolutely.
And guess what? That might keep that person that you were going to love forever
And
taking
here's-
more care of themselves.
I will tell you some of the secrets of the sisterhood to the men if you don't tell anybody I told you.
Yeah, no.
It'll
one
be
of
our
the keys,
secret.
Yeah, one of the
well,
keys to
I think
keeping
Shelley's probably watching.
keeping a wife. One of the keys to keeping a wife. Again, don't tell anyone I
Circle
told
of trust,
you this.
Shelley.
Don't just walk around the house constantly in your boxer shorts, just thinking that you're attractive and that your wife should just want to have sex with you.
Yeah,
Like,
but what if you
to
are
me-
this fucking hot? Like then,
even if you're Rip, even Rip from Yellowstone, it
I
would
pretty
get
much assume everybody's
fucking
wife wants to have
old.
sex with me.
It would get old to just see him walking around in his fucking boxer shorts all the time. Like,
Well,
people
Cole
talk
Hauser,
about women giving
Cole
up.
Hauser has a
Like,
dad
these-
bod and stuff anyway. Like he's probably a
you
good
would
example for
still
that.
get tired of it. People talk about women giving up and just, not caring. Men, you do that same fucking thing and it drives us crazy, and you leave your dirty clothes around and you just all this shit that is not attractive, but then women are the ones who are looked at as, but why aren't you having sex with me anymore? I mean, I'm just saying. You could try harder. You could try harder.
All right. On that note, let's take a quick break because I got to go potty. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Spitballing, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Matt Taylor here with my good buddy
Kyle Owens.
And we have Amy Withawhy in the house. So the reason I got a hold of Kyle this morning and said, hey, well, actually, I just, this was actually what I said. I said, Dana White may not have started that fight, but he sure did finish it. And he just gave me a laugh. But if you haven't heard, in the news today, Dana White, the president of the UFC, was recorded slapping his wife at a nightclub in somewhere.
They went out for New Year's.
Yeah, it was on New Year's Eve. And, it was all over the place. Like, everybody was talking about it. And, I mean, so I went and, like, watched the video. And basically, they're up on this balcony, kind of in this VIP area, and with a bunch of people. And he walks up to her and he says something. And she turns around and fucking slaps him. And he just instantly slaps her. And his slap was much better than hers. And boom, she went down, and then everybody jumped on him, whatever. And then he went on some show and he, like, you know.
Yeah, made a statement and shit. Like,
and essentially the statement was, you know, like, that was fucking awful. There's no excuse for that. We were both drinking, and, we were wasted, and, blah, blah, blah. And he was just like, it was awful, but we're okay. Like,
yeah, we've apologized to each other.
Yeah.
Please respect that this is between us and fucking blah blah blah.
And then Anne is his wife. She basically made the same statement, saying, like, we're fine. It was drunken stupidity. It's never happened before. Don't ever think it'll ever happen again. But whatever. And of course, I thought it was all funny. Because that's the way my humor runs. And so I had to follow that message up with something to the extent of that Will Smith should really start training with Dana White, because if he slapped Chris Rock like that, he would have dropped like a bitch. And then I was like, okay, I have to stop now before I start acting. I had to just put it out there to Kyle, because I knew he wouldn't judge me for my horribleness.
Well, and I'd just been following the story. I haven't seen the video. I've just been following the story. I like to go into the comments on, like, Facebook posts about it and stuff, and just read the stupid shit that people post on there. Like, you see so much of that, like, white knight type shit, like, there's never a reason to put your hands on a woman. And I'm like, you don't know some of the fucking women that I know, clearly, like, I mean, and why is it a woman? You don't hit another fucking person. Like, how about if we just say that?
So what I think is, I think that Dana White really showed himself to be a true feminist.
I mean, there's a reason to hit everybody. Ain't nobody above an ass whooping. That's a quote from Chris Rock. I don't know if he still feels that way, but so, like, people can fucking make you hit them. And like I said, there's a reason to fucking hit everybody. It's just one of those things that you can't do. Don't fucking, like, somebody might give you a reason to hit them, but don't hit them. Now, like, situation like this, it's a non-story to me. It's not a fucking issue. Like, does anybody want that in their relationship? No. Is there is there somebody outside of that relationship that the whites need to fucking explain themselves to, or fucking, like, does that, no, fucking, like, leave them alone at this point, like, fuck. And that white knight shit, like, that's just so fucking stupid. I mean, I've had to intervene, like, with like a crazy methed out girl attacking the girl that I'm with, shit like that. Like, sometimes you do have to fucking, like, put your hands on fucking people that are out of fucking control. This shit is, yeah. And the shit that people say, like, in the, like, this has never happened before, like, I guarantee this has happened before. Like, I read that today and I'm like, how are you going to guarantee that? You don't fucking know. Like, they said this has never happened before, so let's just take their word for it and fucking, like,
I guarantee this has happened before.
Can I speak on behalf of all women?
Yeah, please.
Please. If you don't, we will.
I will start by saying I know nothing about this story. I've heard nothing. All I know is what you just said and what you just said. But it's a little red flaggy just because I don't think I would have said, I guarantee it's happened before, but I can see why somebody would say that. Usually violence, domestic violence like that, coming from either side doesn't just happen one time and disappear. Like, that's not very common. Usually it's something that goes on over a period of time. And it would genuinely shock me if it were something like, oh, this happened this one time and it will never happen again. Statistically, that's not usually what happens. But, and it makes me think, there's a lot of times that, I don't know, women will do something that
Women will do something what?
Women will, okay. So when you're in an abusive relationship, you will do a thing that from the outside looks very bad. Like, I was in an abusive relationship. I threw plates at him one time, right? And you kind of get in a mindset where you feel like you're defending yourself, or you do this thing that you shouldn't have done that was violent, and then that gets used as a reason that you are the problem, right? Like, I'm not the problem,
because
the abuser.
If you're doing it first,
look at
you're
you
the
being
problem.
crazy. Right, but in that instance, you're not looking at it in the context of the entire relationship and what's going on in the entire relationship.
Well, I think
yes,
that's
in
kind
that
of the-
one small instance, yes, she hit him first and he hit her back. Like, it's easy to look at it that way. I don't really care about this story.
No,
I don't even know who
nobody
this person
should
is.
care about the
Yeah.
story. That's
But-
actually kind of the
yeah,
point.
no,
is
nobody
that
should
it
care.
isn't
I'm
the
just,
fact.
to me,
That's
like,
right.
I look at that as, I don't know how long that relationship has been going on, but it
Well,
seems
30 years.
There's
They've been
probably-
married. Well, 26 years, I guess they've been married, they said.
that makes me
Um,
feel like there's probably some shit going on in that marriage. that
Maybe,
people
but
don't
we
know
have
about.
no idea what's
I don't
going
give a
on in
shit.
this.
I don't-
But what we do
I'm
know
not them.
is we know that on New Year's Eve,
Mm-hmm.
two people were out drunk. She smacked him, and he instantly smacked her. Now, there's now one thing that is important to note is it was instantaneous reaction. So it wasn't like a
He got mad and thought about it for a minute and then fucking
chased her down, and
Yeah.
it was, she went smack, and he was, I mean, he his face turned, and then and like it was reactive. Now, who knows what's going on in their life, and honestly, who gives a shit? Like, I don't want anybody to have to be in an abusive relationship. But if Anne decides to leave Dana, she'll probably be okay. Like, we're talking about, I think he makes some money. I think she's gonna be all right. And she doesn't want to. I mean, according to her public statement, she doesn't want to. And again, that's nobody. But it's just crazy how fucking crazy people got about the situation. And it doesn't necessarily help that we're talking about a guy who is in the midst of this sport of the UFC, and it's all, misogynist or whatever. And he's always been very critical. He's cut fighters for being abusive and so on and so forth, and has always kind of made that stand. And I did when he did his statement, because it really wasn't an apology, it was a statement saying, I've always been the one saying there's never an excuse to hit a woman, and yet here I am on this program having to talk about it. This is ridiculous and this is horrible, but we're okay, and we're going to be okay.
Well, and it just does. I'm again generalizing wildly here. I do think men have a little bit more responsibility to control themselves, because just inherently they are more threatening and larger than we are in most circumstances. Like, I don't know.
I don't disagree
that may not be fair,
with the fact that that
overall
the person who has more power
threatened,
has
a little
bit
larger
more
responsibility. That doesn't mean that
doesn't mean
somebody
she shouldn't hit
shouldn't
him.
react.
No, I get
to,
that.
And I shouldn't even say should react.
Right.
But that you can't fucking crucify somebody who does react.
Well, that's our culture. We love crucifying people.
Well,
That's what we do. This is America.
True.
Come on. That's our favorite pastime.
Yeah, I just, I figured we had to get back to the slap happy. But again, I'm telling you, man, Will, if you want to get a hold of Dana, I'm sure he can show you that technique. It was just fired right from the hip. It was truly beautiful. And actually, Dana, he was a boxer. Maybe
he should take up axe throwing.
He probably should take up axe throwing.
I'm just saying, it saved me
or
from
maybe
many
not being
hitting
out
people.
wasted on New Year's Eve.
Yeah,
and then again,
says the
that
person
shit
who
happens
got drunk on New Year's Eve.
Wow.
Because it seemed like a good idea at the time.
I was home by like 9:30, 10 o'clock. No, I mean, not. I was home all night. I was in bed by like 9:30 or 10 o'clock.
I think it was a little earlier than that, according to your wife. You were snoring by 6:30.
Yeah, I was falling asleep on the couch at 6:30. It's been a long day. I get up early.
I've been doing that for years, though. Like, I haven't stayed up for New Year's Eve in fucking years.
I just stay up by
This is
default. I don't think I've been asleep before midnight.
Now that I don't work in bars anymore,
Since COVID.
it's like I'm like, okay, yes, I've gotten old. Also, I'm like rebelling against that shit. Like, I don't have to do shit. Like, I had to stay up I had to be up for New Year's for fucking 20-something years, Like,
oh, right.
No,
till 4 o'clock in the morning doing.
Yeah.
Like, I'll never fucking close down another bar again.
That's one of the weird things about just getting diagnosed with ADHD and getting medicated for it. My sleep schedule. Thank you, Adderall. I can actually stay up now past 8 p.m. God, I used to sleep so much more than I do now, but now I feel like I still get enough sleep that I function perfectly fine. But I can stay up till midnight now and not feel like total shit the next day, which is how I functioned for years. I went to bed at like 8 and got up at 7 or 8 the next morning.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah. I needed like 6. But one of my friends was telling, my friend Laura, she's like, I think it's just that you're not bored anymore.
Oh, right. Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, that hit me hard because it was right after the whole divorce thing. And I'm like, you're right. I'm not bored. I'm not as bored as I was with life generally. But also Adderall. So combination of the boredom and the Adderall.
Beautiful. It's a beautiful thing.
Yes.
Did you want to talk about the Greta incident?
Might as well. I just love that. I just want to thank Greta Thunberg for the memes, because that fucking whole incident with the kickboxer guy, I don't even know that guy's fucking name. What is that guy's name?
So what is it that happened? Because I still have not. I have no idea.
So
what's
there's
even going on.
some kickboxer guy was really
something about a pizza. That's all I
was getting on Greta on Twitter.
Yeah. So Andrew Tate is a former kickboxer, and now he's like a social media fucking influencer / wannabe gangster, and he was busting. So he started in about all of his cars. He's like harassing her on fucking Twitter and talking about, because she's a climate activist, and he's talking about his 33 cars,
Isn't she like a teenager?
Yeah.
She's like 19.
She's like, yeah. I mean, she was like sick. She might even be in her 20s now, but she was really young when she was.
And people have been like weirdly hateful towards her and shit,
absolutely,
like grown ass men.
How dare a young woman actually
give a fuck about the planet
world
that she's inheriting,
and say
and that's the thing. Basically, it's fucking like, if you find yourself feeling hateful towards Greta Thunberg, you're probably someone that I would consider a fucking moron, and whatever that, and you would probably consider me a fucking moron.
So anyway, so he's like giving her shit, saying, "Oh, I got 30 cars. You should check out my carbon footprint."
Yeah, and he's telling her about telling her about his cars and stuff, and she's like, "Oh, that's really interesting. You should tell me more about it. You can email me at smalldickenergy@getalife.com or whatever." And
which is fucking like, it's like, oh snap.
Yeah, she just fucking burns him. He's a fucking like a well-known fucking super misogynistic douchebag, much like myself. And so she just owns him on fucking Twitter. So then he's like posting some video reply or some shit, and the authorities in Romania, where he's wanted in connection with human trafficking and rape.
Of course they is.
They fucking they see a pizza box in the background or whatever from a very specific fucking pizza place. They go to the pizza place and get his address and go fucking arrest him and his brother.
It's like Kyle sitting at Slice on Oak going like, fuck you. The Slice on Oak is like, where could he possibly be?
Fucking, and yeah, so that did not work out fucking well for him. And the memes are fucking hilarious. I mean, as is that situation, like, that's what you get, dipshit.
Yeah, I think any story of like a giant asshole being completely owned by a young woman, I'm always down for that.
It's just beautiful.
I appreciate it. I think I loved that during the January 6th hearings. I was just blissful about the idea that a 25-year-old woman was the one going there and just taking down all of these fucking asshole right-winger.
I couldn't watch any of it.
Really?
No.
Oh, it was fascinating.
I've listened to a few
It was-
podcasts about it, but like
I loved watching it.
really
I
tough.
usually I don't watch that kind of stuff, honestly, but I sat and watched every minute.
Really?
Oh yeah, it was fascinating. It was, I don't know, it was fascinating to me to watch all of these people who are themselves giant fucking assholes going into Congress and being the good guys all of a sudden and just like, look at me. Yeah, you were fucking enabling that motherfucker for how long?
Big
and
as
now
shit.
you're a good guy? But besides that, it was just interesting to see what they all had to say and some of the shit that, of course, Trump throws his fucking food at the wall like a child. Like, that surprises anybody. I just can't. It was just fun to hear that shit confirmed. And then to see people actually be outraged or surprised by it. Like, the image of Trump throwing his McSandwich at a wall is the most normal thing in the world to me.
Yeah.
Like,
And
I
just
would be surprised
fucking
if he
yelling
didn't
with,
do that kind of
with
shit.
food flying out of
Oh,
his
yeah.
fucking mouth and just an
And
angry
screaming
tirade. His
at, like-
fucking hair flying around.
Screaming at the Secret Service person and like, of course he does that shit. Like, people are surprised that he's a fucking narcissistic sociopath. How do we let a toddler be in charge of the country, and then he did toddler shit.
Nobody's surprised. Either you already know,
Right?
or you're in denial because you're part of that fucking
Yeah.
cult of idiots.
Well, and to me, like, after that point, if you were still on the Trump train after that,
How many
there's
times
no
have you
hope
said
left.
that, though? Like, I mean,
True,
we're like,
true,
this has
true,
got to
true.
be the one.
Very
Nobody's going to
much
support
so.
him after
Yeah.
this.
I don't know.
There they
all,
are.
All the other ones, though, I was still like, I don't know. These people are crazy. They're still going to support him. But after this, like, it was just...
Really? See,
I don't know.
after grabbing by the pussy, I was kind of like, couldn't figure it out.
I
Like-
don't know. I was not surprised people didn't dump him out. People,
Really?
Oh,
I was like, what the fuck?
that's grade A. Just
And not even...
There's
that-
so
like,
many guys that
actually-
are like, yeah, but I said that in the locker, because guys have said that in the locker room.
Yeah, but
and it's,
not only did he say
See?
like I'm gonna grab him by the pussy, he said like, and I can do it because I'm rich, and
Well,
that's
yeah.
the part. So
That's the
actually,
American
the whole
dream.
grabbing him by the pussy thing, that wasn't even that. I mean, I'm like, whatever. People say weird shit.
I don't
But-
know about that locker room talk one though. That thing, like, because I've had like people have
Yeah,
said that to me
like
too, and I'm
the
like,
locker room talk
I'm
is
like, what
bullshit.
locker room? Like, because I've been in a lot of locker rooms and shit, and it doesn't sound like we don't talk like that. you
Yeah,
know?
like
But-
I,
but
it's
like-
hard for me to judge because I'm in. So it's the like nine, like the only locker room I'm ever in is in the jiu-jitsu locker room, and then it's like there's like it's kind of like the whole idea of an armed society is a polite society. That's kind of what it's like when you're around a bunch of jiu-jitsu guys. I mean, any one of us could technically just probably kill the other one at any given moment. So it's like, everybody's pretty nice
But
to
see,
each
like
other.
a football locker room is not like. I mean, you don't like. I don't know. You don't.
Mostly
fucking-
you're just-
generally
hung
don't
out-
talk like that.
Mostly you're just
So, like,
making fun of the other person. if
I
you
think
will.
I think the reason that you hear that one a lot because we did hear that a lot during
Well,
that whole
he
fucking
said
thing.
it. He said it was locker room talk. That was
See,
what,
I was gonna say it's probably fucking guys that have never that haven't spent much time in the locker room because they think that's how guys talk.
well,
Like,
so let me ask you this, though.
because
I'm-
Trump obviously spent a ton of time in the locker room because he's super
outside
fit.
of a locker room, because I'm not privy to what goes on in groups of men when there are no women around and they're talking to each other. When it's just groups of guys, be it in a locker room or not, does that kind of shit get said? And
Actually,
I think
so maybe we're
that's
not the
actually
best
kind of
example. Kyle and I are not the best example because when
Okay.
we get together with our friends, we
Right.
mostly
You're
talk
a
about
different-
geek shit.
I'm thinking
Yeah.
maybe I'm thinking guys,
But, like, from, like-
college guys in their
Yeah.
20s,
From,
guys
like,
out
football and
drinking, that
shit.
kind of shit.
Honestly, that stuff, like talking like that, and I'm just going to use this fucking expression because the douchebags use it. That's kind of a fucking beta thing. Like guys that want to impress their friends by
Right.
saying nasty, like that's
who's
kind of
saying
how they talk.
So people like Trump.
But the guy, yeah, man, like that's what I'm saying. Like those guys think that like guys talk like that when like the guys that they, I think a lot of times the people that they want to emulate are like, no, dude, like whatever, like fucking, and people that like the locker room doesn't really sound like that in most instances. And the guys that
where,
fucking
like,
want to talk
the
like that,
actual alpha is just like,
yeah,
that's
like,
grody, dude. Shut
yeah,
the fuck up.
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm. That's exactly what I'm saying.
Yeah,
Those guys like
yeah, I
fucking,
definitely see that.
yeah.
Makes sense.
But your Trumps, yeah, sure, they they do sound like that.
Well,
The
I think
fucking-
for women, it was, again, I'm not in groups of men when they're talking like that, so I don't know.
So I think and we've been doing a lot of men-women generalizations here today, but I actually think that women, when they are talking amongst women, are much more graphic about, especially about
Surprisingly?
sex.
No.
Oh,
Here's the
well,
thing I have. Go ahead.
I mean, perhaps maybe not in your group, but though I find that in many, and men, for the most part, like are not graphic about it. We're very private about it, especially the person that we're with. Like it's like, I'm not telling you about that, you fucking weirdo.
Yeah, we seldom compare notes and shit like that. Like it's not really that's not the thing that people I think people would be. I think women would be surprised how little we like compare notes and shit like
Well,
that.
going out
Fucking-
in our group of friends, most people would just be bored out of their fucking mind.
True.
I think
You would
I-
say that in your group.
Until we join a motorcycle gang.
Well, no. So one thing that I think is interesting is I have noticed, going back to the divorce thing, one of the reasons that I thought that I was alone and feeling the way I felt is that my female friends and I would talk about all kinds of shit, but we never really talked about sex as much as, like, if you watch Sex in the City we don't talk about, most of us throughout, I guess, that time in my life, most of my friends, we would talk about it, but it was never super open. Whereas now, my female friends that are all in their 40s and getting divorced, and we're all figuring out this shit about ourselves that we didn't have the opportunity to realize because we were stuck in boring marriages. Now we've all started talking about it, and now it's kind of this new, like, I don't know. Now we are much more graphic with each other, and we do compare notes. I'm just saying.
Maybe
I don't know. I think
I would
think
say
it's this
single women
empowerment that we
might be
haven't.
more
Yes,
graphic.
absolutely. Single women. These are all women who are recently divorced or single. But yeah, it's weird to me how little I did talk about it with my friends, when really we were all kind of going through similar experiences, and then to go from that to where I am now with a lot of my friends, where we're just straight up sending each other nudes because we're look at how good this one is, and then we all congratulate each other because we're like, we're better at this than men are,
Which,
so we're
by
just
the
going to
way,
send them to
I
each
do
other.
expect an invite to that
So-
private.
You can't be in it. Sorry, you can't. You cannot be in Whole Life or No Life.
So,
it's female only.
if you guys follow anything about Elon Musk, like getting
a piece of
buying
shit.
Twitter and all that?
I try not to
I'm
follow
not gonna,
anything.
I'm not going to say too much. I don't know too much about Elon one way or the other, but I will say
Ugh.
he's got fucking badass internet. I finally got
he's
Starlink,
disgusting.
and I'm so excited about it because I live in a place where there is no fucking internet. Like my phone doesn't even have internet.
Which is weird to me because you live like 2 miles out of town.
Oh yeah, it's right
a main road.
Yeah, it's right on fucking Wise Road.
And fucking
It's just this one little street that doesn't have fucking internet, and
Have you tried
nothing.
asking to speak to a manager? That's what I would do.
Yeah, it's I don't know what it's there. Who the fuck knows? But anyway, I finally
Yeah,
got Starlink.
that's how he
and
got
I am
Elon
like,
Musk's number.
Yes. But anyway, he bought Twitter, right? And then because I don't know much about it other than the fact that he was like, oh yeah, free speech, everything's great. I'm going to let all these people back on Twitter. And then he lets Kanye on Twitter. And then Kanye goes on fucking on Alex Jones. Did you guys see that?
Fuck no.
Oh.
So Kanye goes on Alex Jones. Do you know who Alex Jones is, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
That's
And
why I said fuck
Alex
no. I didn't
Jones,
see him on
and,
Alex
and
Jones.
Kanye is wearing a fucking gimp mask, right?
Okay.
Talking about how much he likes Hitler. And Alex Jones
Interesting.
is like going,
Too far, man.
The voice of reason, Alex Jones.
he's going, whoa, Kanye, I know you're just being facetious there. And it's a pretty good Alex Jones,
Am
actually.
I?
Huh?
Yeah, it's not bad.
And
He did sound-
Kanye's like, no, I really do like Hitler. and Alex like, okay, well, just to be clear, I don't like Hitler. And it was so fucking weird.
Listen, Alex, no one believes you. I'm just saying.
Yeah, but that's at least I'm not no doubt about it. But when Alex Jones is the one fucking putting the brakes on a conversation, you know, the crazy train has left the station.
So here's my question though. Like the more I see stuff, the more I see like headlines about Kanye West, I'm like, fuck, you know.
Is it
Can-
performance
can-
art?
Well, I mean, can't we get him in conservatorship with Britney Spears' dad or
Right?
something? Like, what the fuck? Like,
Seems like it'd be
we're
much
just letting
better.
him like do this shit for our entertainment when clearly, if this is real, there's something fucking wrong.
Yeah,
you know?
if it's real, there's something wrong. If it is not, I'm torn on whether it's real
not.
or whether it is all performance art. I don't know.
I don't know.
I don't care that much.
I think he's
either,
crazy as a
but I don't
motherfucker.
know.
But then he goes back on Twitter and he puts a fucking Star of David with a swastika in the middle of it, and then Elon kicks him back
Classy.
off Twitter, and it's like
But free speech.
exactly.
Free speech, man. My free speech.
It's like you are like again, I have mixed feelings about Elon, and I don't know that much about him, but
He's a creep.
you know what I do know about him?
Mm-hmm.
He's a fucking expert on World War II airplanes. And I listened to a podcast when he
Well,
was
that's cool.
Yeah, and I'm not talking about like
Mm-hmm.
kind of an expert. I'm talking like he's like the expert. And he was on Dan Carlin
Mm-hmm.
just talking about fucking airplanes, and it was really interesting, and I was like, oh my god, this guy knows fucking everything
There's
about
a-
airplanes. But
Go ahead.
that doesn't have anything else to do with like his
Sure.
life. It's
I-
just because somebody knows about airplanes doesn't make them
There's a
good
great
person.
show called What a Creep, a podcast called, it's one of my favorite podcasts, and it's literally just two women talking about creeps, and they pick a different creep every week, and it's always famous people. They did an episode on Elon Musk, and Jesus fucking Christ, that guy, like, it's a fun show. I
God
like it.
damn it! Now I have
It's
now I
just
have a
What
goal.
a Creep. Go look at What a Creep.
Now I have to get famous.
And then they can do an episode on you.
Yeah, that's what I'm
I
saying.
could
Well,
start a
you'll
new
have
show
to
that-
If
you'll
there's
have
like
to
a- if
share
there-
and
if-
prescribe.
If anybody like if they ever do like an
Subscribe,
amateur night
not
type
prescribe.
thing, please put my name out there. I
I
think I would
could
make
start a show called like What a Brainerd Creep, because
my
there is
God.
a fucking long list I could go through and just
That would be such an honor.
I could do that. It would get huge viewership, I
It
would
would.
think, because people love Brainerd. So
And I've got like I've got enough ex-girlfriends to be like, oh fuck, you don't know the half. Is there a number? Let me call these guys.
that would be a fun podcast. I would love that. Yeah, like
Is this
I need
live?
more podcasts.
Am I on live?
Awesome. Well, what else
Anyway,
we gotta talk about?
fuck Elon Musk. There's also a really great song by Penelope Scott called "Rat" that you should listen to, also about Elon Musk, and it's amazing. So one of the lines.
The other
in it
thing
is,
I know
"Fuck
about
your
Elon
car."
Musk
Yeah.
is that he's really into the etymology of words. And he owns
Strange.
etymology.com.
I mean, I like etymology.
I do too.
I think it's interesting.
Yeah, because
Mm-hmm.
like we all think that thought, right? Like, where the fuck did that come
I know,
from?
and I need to. I was thinking, I saw this in some kind of, because now I'm just obsessed with ADHD memes and reels, and somebody was talking about how, like I'm on my phone all day, and most of the time I'm going down rabbit holes where I saw a thing and I'm like, where did that come from? And I need to know, so I look it up, but that brings me to something else that I'm like, well, how did that start? And I need to know that, and I'm going down this nonstop. But like, what
And
did
then,
we do?
then you have
before
to
we
figure out
had
how to
that?
save it if you have to like tear yourself away.
I mean, I'm not going to save it, but before my phone and before the internet, we still had that need to know things. So, like,
Tina,
what did
I
we
hate your
do?
fucking
We
cuckoo
wrote shit
clock.
down.
Jesus Christ.
Did I
Cuckoo.
I existed before the internet. I was a sentient young adult. Like,
I
what
was
did I do?
I
don't
was
even
way
know.
smarter sounding before the internet.
I mean, weren't we all?
Because we get exposed now. Bullshit.
I don't.
Because no matter how much I insist that it's said grammatically, like now nobody will believe me.
Start pronouncing salmon with the L and just see what
I actually
happens.
like it.
Just do it.
So
Just be like salmon.
I have
It's
a real
salmon
problem.
now.
I have a real problem with the way words are spelled. And I think
English is a terrible
horrible.
language.
And I think that we're at a point now where we could just
Mm-hmm.
like do away with all the multiple spellings of words and just
Yeah.
come up with a agreed
could.
upon.
Well,
like,
we've already done away with the meanings of word or the meaning of words. I
Pretty
mean,
much.
I look at my thing like every day, and it hasn't gone away, but I've really had to learn to live with the fact that some fucking idiot is going to sit there and abuse the word literally fucking over and over in every conversation. And I'm like,
It's me.
one more time, I'm going to stab you in the throat. One more time. I've never heard you say that.
I say literally constantly.
Oh my
I love
God,
it. I
really?
lean into it, but I know I'm using
So
it
I kinda-
incorrectly. Like I know
but
I am.
the
using
thing
it
is
the wrong way.
who the fuck uses literally correctly? Okay. Think of an example.
I mean,
Do most people
It's-
know what the correct meaning is? That is what I'm like. I am
oh
using
my
it
God.
incorrectly, and
Do
I
you-
fucking know it.
Do you think people use it? Do you think people think it means something other than like
You think it's inconceivable?
Like precisely and exactly,
Mm-hmm.
and like, because literally is I mean, there's not a lot of words to say literally, like exactly,
Mm-hmm.
in the proper context and stuff. But people like, because he was literally on top of me. You mean the guy driving behind you? Yeah.
Literally.
He was literally on top of you. Yeah, but he was driving behind you. Yeah, literally on top of me.
That's why it's fun to
See, that
use,
doesn't
though.
bother me at all.
Oh my
why it's
God,
fun
that
to
shit
use.
fucking
It bothers
makes
me when people like say
fucking-
it all the time. Like, though I did love Parks and Rec.
I think I got
but-
it from Parks and Rec, and
Yeah.
I just started really leaning
I-
into it, and now I
Yeah,
enjoy it too much.
I
don't
actually loved it in Parks and Rec, and was it Rob Lowe? He would say literally all the time, but he
say
would actually
literally.
say literally.
know. Literally.
Is that and that's not correct, right?
No, it's literal. Well, it
It is correct.
is correct. Yeah, it's
How do you say the fucking word? Is it literally or is it literally?
It's
literally.
We do that with all of our T's, though.
literally. I mean, it's
I'm telling you, when I get done with this,
Literally.
when I get done with this language, there's going to be no
Little.
fucking T's in literally.
Like, just look at the word little. How many people do you know that say little?
well, it's fully regional too. It's
Mm.
where you live. I mean, it's whatever your regional.
But yeah, every
accent
time,
is. Bag
every
or
time Rob Lowe
bag.
would say literally, we'd take a drink.
Literally.
so.
I love Parks and Rec so much.
Oh,
I
it's a fucking great show.
I started noticing that I do it, and once I noticed it, I'm like, oh, I'm just going to do it more now. Now it's my thing, and I just put literally.
The other one too that everybody uses incorrectly,
It's just
and
soul
it does
crushing for
not
me.
bother me at all, is ironically, right?
I do that too.
Yeah.
I don't give a shit.
Because again, like, when the fuck would you actually use the word ironically?
See, I think
When you're singing
Yeah.
Alanis Morissette
Well,
songs,
like, but I mean, using it correctly, because she obviously didn't.
Probably
but I mean, can
never.
you come
No.
up with can you come up with an
No.
example of irony?
not really.
well, yeah.
Okay,
But-
what is it?
Like an example
It's
of
a
irony.
Yeah.
black
Like, if
fly
you-
in your Chardonnay. Is that? No.
Yeah, like I mean, like an actual example of like that is actually ironic and not just a coincidence or unfortunate or whatever. The only one I can think of is the Titanic sinking on its maiden voyage. That was ironic, right? Because it was the ship that was unsinkable, and it goes out
Oh,
and bam,
sure.
it sinks on
Yeah.
its original voyage. That's the only example of irony I've ever really been able to come up with, and I can't think of any other like actual ironic examples.
Yeah, I'm a recovering grammar nerd. I always have been one.
It's grammatical nerd.
And I'm just going to pretend that didn't happen. And I've been trying in the past several years to kind of just let that go and be like, not everybody is, but I was an English major and I like grammar and I was always good at it. The one fucking word that still bothers me that has changed is supposedly, because it has D's, but it has switched into supposedly, which is the wrong
Oh my God.
fucking pronunciation. But we somehow have been like, nope, we're going to start using
No,
supposedly.
you can't
Wait,
let
give me a
that.
second.
You can't let that be okay.
fucking hate it.
Supposedly
Yes,
is correct.
is correct.
And what's the other one?
Supposedly
Supposedly.
with B's. I want to say George W. Bush started that one. I could be wrong. But I feel like it started coming around in the GWB years. And I hear so many people, instead of supposedly, saying, well, supposedly the guy went here. It hurts
So
my
when
ears.
he said strategery,
Oh my
was
God.
that grammatical?
Yes.
That's what he's
Pretty
doing,
much,
right?
yeah.
Making up a word that makes you sound smart, but it's wrong.
Do you have to know you're making up the word?
Oh, I don't think so because I do it all the time.
Okay. I don't think he knew he was making up words.
No, he was just being
That's
strategery.
the best,
You're
most
just being an
honest way to
idiot.
do it.
Okay. That
He was
makes sense.
he was being strategic.
Have you ever played the game Balderdash?
Yeah.
Oh, it's
Yeah.
so much fun. My brother kills at that game. It's fantastic.
Have you ever played that, Kyle? It's like
No.
it's
you
a
make up
I haven't
meanings
played
to
any
words.
board games.
Well, there's like-
I've never been a board game.
it's like
Yeah, I haven't.
balderdash, which is a word that means bullshit.
Yeah.
So like
Or card games.
It'll give you
I've never played any games,
multiple
just Dungeons
different
and Dragons.
really obscure words,
Right.
and then
You make up a definition.
and then you have to make it. Yeah, it's pretty
And
fun
then
actually.
Well, that sounds fun.
Yeah, well,
It
the
was
person
actually pretty fun. You
who's
gotta be-
doing
this-
the round has to pick which one's the correct one.
Which one's
so
the
like
correct word, right.
if they pick yours, you get a point.
So if you have a really big vocabulary in obscure
If you can
stuff,
sound really smart,
See,
that's
here's a
how you
problem
win.
that I have with a lot of games like that. So, you get around a table and you've got 6 people or whatever, and you're playing, and then you realize like maybe a couple of the people are not quite as up to, the par of
Intellectual
the-
stuff.
Sure, No, that sucks. That ruins the game. It almost ruins the game. Until you're playing and you realize you're that person. That ruins the fucking game. Which is a fucking situation like, so me being like almost a lifelong like smart person groupie, like I fucking love smart people. I like to hang around with smart people. I seek out smart people. I try to talk to smart people. But I myself am not a smart person.
if you
but
can't,
I
it's like if you can't
recognize
spot the dummy at the table, you
Then
are the
it's
dummy
you.
at the table.
Yeah, like it's like a fucking like a Solieri type thing, like how fucking Solieri fucking saw how fucking genius, how fucking brilliant Mozart was, and he could recognize how beautiful everything was, and nobody was a bigger fan. Like nobody appreciated Mozart more than Solieri. But Solieri just couldn't do it himself, like fucking. So like that's how I feel about smart people. I'm like, man, I'm not a smart person, but goddamn, I really do appreciate some smart people.
You're like
but then you try
smart
to do
adjacent.
things with smart people, and it just reminds you like that you are not one of the smart people.
My mom has years ago my mom likes board games. I've always pretty much hated them, but we used to play Trivial Pursuit a lot, and my mom just quit playing one day because my brother and I would win all the time, and she just was like tired of playing it, and it would just be my brother and I competing against each other, and nobody else there.
I
And she's
hate
like, "This
I
isn't
hate
even
Trivial
fun."
Pursuit too
I
because
love it so much.
Because like again, I'm
I
kind
love
of like
trivia.
Kyle. I always have
Yeah.
smart friends, and I'm always
smart friends.
the dumb one at the table.
I'm the
I'm
smart
like, fuck.
one though. That's why it's fun. Balderdash was fun with my brother because his comedic timing is. He would write out the most absurd, oh my God, he would almost write an entire screenplay for what that word meant, and it was so ridiculous and obviously not the right one. But while the person was reading it, he would sit with a perfectly straight face. Everybody knew it was his. He never broke out laughing. He's got this ability I've never had to just completely not break a single time, and it was just, oh my God, it was the funniest fucking thing I've ever seen. That board games are fun when you don't play them correctly. That's how I like them. But when you're sitting there like, oh,
I can't even think
Monopoly
of the last
kills.
time.
I fucking hate board games.
Monopoly's not bad if you play for money.
If you cheat.
No.
Monopoly's not bad if you cheat.
If you play for money, it's actually pretty good.
What I like to do is
I've only done that
tell everyone
twice,
ahead of time I'm going to cheat profusely, and then see if they can catch me cheating, and that's the only way it keeps me interested. So I'm like, listen, I'm going to cheat. I'm not going to tell you how I'm going to cheat, but there will be 5 different ways I'm gonna cheat.
relationships like that.
I think the
I mean-
cheapest you can do it is $25. If I get to break it down to yeah, it's been a while since I played, but I've done it a few times. But it really changes the game because all of a sudden, it's
To me,
fucking serious if
it's
there's
like-
$200 on the line.
It's one more way to make me feel bad about being a bad mom, because my especially youngest child has really bought into the marketing behind family game night. And he desperately wants family game night, and he loves board games,
Well,
and I fucking hate
just tell him
them.
that you're going to play Sorry. And then when he's like, well, okay, let's play Sorry, you say, sorry.
I have played so many goddamn games of Uno just to appease my own guilt, and I fucking hate Uno.
Oh,
and
fucking Uno.
the idea that all families should have a family game night pisses me off, frankly. I hate board games. They're boring. I hate card games. I don't like any of that shit.
Unless it's like dodgeball, and you got to,
Maybe.
with
I don't know.
axes.
Sitting down, I went to my brother's house one day, and he and his wife are excellent parents and play all the board games, and they were playing like Settlers of Catan Junior Edition with their twins, and I had to play because otherwise I'm a bad aunt. I'm like, I don't understand any of these rules, and it was for children, and my twin nieces are completely schooling me at this board game. But I'm like, there's too many stupid, obscure rules. This is boring. I hate it. I don't understand why we're sitting here for 2 hours. It's terrible.
I had
And it's not okay to like drink excessively when you're playing board games with
not
children.
when you're with like 8-year-old twins, apparently.
Abby and Mike they sent me a text message. They were talking about game night, and I'm like, Christina's, and of course Christina, it was like a group text or something, and Christina was like, that sounds great, and I'm like, I fucking hate games. And
My
she's like,
mom
okay,
loves
Mr.
a
Dungeons and
board
Dragons,
game
and I'm
night.
like, fuck.
Yeah.
That's not
How do I-
different thing.
That's different.
That's what I said.
Yeah.
But I'm like, how do I explain how Dungeons and Dragons is totally different than fucking other games? Because I really do hate other games. I don't even know any card games. I don't even know how to play poker.
I do like Cards
fucking-
Against Humanity, though. Maybe that makes me basic.
Never played.
But I like it.
So
It's
I
so much fun.
I've played it like twice. The problem is that it's only fun if you're playing in a group of kind of semi like.
Oh, you have to have the right group, yeah.
But if you're playing with a bunch of soulless heathens, it's not that fun because there's
That's when it's
nothing.
most
No,
fun.
because there's nothing you can say that's surprising.
Well, it doesn't have to be surprising. So when I have played, it has been with all soulless heathens, and my friend's husband came up with the greatest thing. My stomach hurt from laughing because I was crying, and it was one where you have the 2 cards and you have to pick out. It's like a Hallmark original. The story of this. So you need to pick 2 cards, right? Blank, the story of blank, and everybody's flipping them over. The one my friend picked was Bitches, the story of women's suffrage. I still fucking laugh about that when I think about it, and about his face, because he looked so like he felt like he was going to get in trouble for it, and his face was red, and I still cry.
I'm sure this was your favorite
so
show,
great.
but do you remember the Man Show?
Oh my fucking god! Of course I do. Fucking Adam Carolla can eat a dick.
Yeah, I like Adam Carolla. But there was an episode of the Man Show
guy.
where they went out to like
And asked women what women's suffrage
well
was.
to
I
help.
remember
No,
it.
they wanted women
Sure
to
they
sign
did.
on to help stop women's suffrage.
Yep, I remember
And they had
that
like a
episode.
petition. Would you sign our petition to help stop women's suffrage? And they were like, oh, okay, yeah, sure.
To
And
be fair, how many men would know what it was?
doesn't matter. It's still fucking hilarious. Doesn't matter if men don't know what it is either.
I always wonder because those things are
Here's
hugely
the
popular
important
now when
thing.
people go around to the microphone and like ask people like simple questions, and
They
it
just
makes us
edit
all
out the
depressed
ones who knew what they were doing.
yeah, and I'm like, God damn it! Like, how many of those do you have to go through before you find these real dumb fucks? I always wonder about that.
That's why I hated the Man Show, because they went and found those fucking idiots, put it on there, and went, haha, look at how dumb women are.
or they went to Bacchus.
Or Pine River.
No, I think that there's a lot of people that like.
Oh, there's plenty of women who have no fucking idea what women's suffrage is, or when women got the right to vote, or that we couldn't vote at one point.
Just
Drives me nuts. But it
And-
doesn't mean women are fundamentally stupid either.
No,
Which is what
it
I feel
just
like the
means
point
that-
of their show was look at
Well,
all these
maybe.
dumb fucking broads who don't even know what it means.
But
I don't
it
know.
just means Americans
Americans are terrible.
fucking stupid.
Oh yeah, we're idiots completely.
yeah. it
When
is
did women get the
embarrassing,
right to vote?
I don't remember. Actually, I do. Who cares?
Man,
And that's the
Come on, Kyle.
right answer.
Come on, Kyle.
I'm gonna go with 1919.
You can do it. Oh, so close, 1920.
Fuck.
So close, though. I'm impressed.
Howard
I'm
Zinn.
impressed. Yeah, Howard Zinn's amazing.
That's the only reason
See,
I almost.
I'm the smart
It's the only reason I
person.
almost got that right.
Yeah. You should watch Iron Jawed Angels that came out on HBO. It's way more entertaining, and
Iron Shot Angels?
Iron Jawed, like a jaw angel. It's
Iron Jawed Angels.
a movie
For a minute
on
there, I was
HBO
like,
years ago now.
I thought maybe they were in some sexy costumes.
I have it on the DVD. No, it's about Alice Paul and the women's suffrage movement. It's
Okay,
not sexy.
that's the
Don't
opposite
worry.
of sexy costumes.
Sorry. Yeah.
All right. You guys got anything else?
Join the divorce revolution.
There you go.
Everybody, get on board. I'm so cynical
Unless
that
it's
now
you,
I
like-
look at all my friends and I'm like, she's going to get on the train eventually, and she's going to get on the. I have no hope left for anybody.
Yeah.
That's who I am now. So.
Well, there you go. Mm-hmm. All right.
And listen to Secular Snoop.
And if you do get married,
Yeah, do check
don't
out.
get married before 40.
Do check out Secular Soup.
Definitely.
It's on all the podcasters thingies.
Yep. I've been trying to do shorter clips on YouTube of fun stuff. So.
I want to be back on the show someday. I feel like
yeah.
I feel like I was not good last time.
I feel like I'm not good on every show I go on. Because that's just how it is.
We feel that way too. Yet here we are.
I don't ever feel that way.
No,
every time I
you
get done
know.
with the show, I'm like, we fucking nailed
Dude,
it.
Oh my God.
we'll message each other like, that was a fucking good one. Yeah, fuck
See,
yeah, it was.
Amy and I are the
I'm
opposite.
never going to listen to it. but
Every
it's-
time we finish recording, we're like, oh, that was a fucking joke. And then I listen to it later and I'm like, that was actually really
so
good.
the thing is, and it probably does come through, is that we enjoy just doing it so much that
Yeah.
it, like, even if everything we said was complete drivel,
You had fun
we
doing
still
it.
had fun saying it.
Yeah, that was
That's
the
why
whole
it's
point.
called spitballing.
Sometimes I end it and we'll both go, we stayed on topic for like an hour. That's
Yeah.
impressive.
We wouldn't know what that
Never.
was like.
Yeah, that's never
That's-
happened. So all of you fans out there, all 7 of you, we promise it won't be so long.
Word.
Yeah, we'll be back soon. But
I'll
until
be
then,
back.
that was a good one.
See what I mean about the men and the confidence and just so, sure that you did things correctly and...
I got the blues so bad one time it put my face in a permanent frown. You know I'm feeling so much better I could cakewalk into town. I woke up this morning feeling so good, you know I laid back down again. Throw your big leg over me, mama, I just might not feel this good again. My baby, oh my baby, I love the way she walks. When my girl gets sleepy, I love the way she baby talks. My work done got scarce, honey, all my work, it done got hard. I spent the whole day stealing chickens, mama, from the rich folks' yard. I got the blues so bad one time it put my face in a permanent frown. Now I'm feeling so much better I could cakewalk into town. I wanna go on a picnic in the country, mama, and stay all day. I don't care if I don't do nothing, just while my time away. I got the blues so bad one time it put my face in a permanent frown. You know I'm feeling so much better I could cakewalk into town.